3, 1.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 2 of Aitai Chat. My name is Harada and I'm a game developer currently working in the industry. With me today is Audrey, the CEO and founder of one of Japan's top fandom-related e-commerce stores, Aitai Chat. And
Hello.
with us today is the incredibly talented John Bentley, most notably known for his recent role as Barret in Final Fantasy VII Remake. Yes, and chat, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them. We'll be sure to address them near the end or in the middle of, obviously us talking and everything. So, hey, everyone.
Hello.
Hey, y'all.
Thanks so much for introducing.
For
those of you who have tuned in for Aitai Chat episode 1 with the lovely John Bentley, voice actor of most notably known for lovely John, most notably known for his role
Why
recently.
she call me lovely?
Recent role for yes, Barret FF7 remake and
Barret is lovely.
and Harada prominent video game industry worker. And so in the previous episode we talked a lot about
Video game
voice
worker.
acting.
Harada, you lovely too, baby. You lovely too.
For sure. Best title.
You know, he stands on the corner and does that video game work. You know, I got that
Right.
title for you.
I feel
You
so
like
bad for
Sonic?
Audrey right now.
Amazing. But so in the previous episode we did talk a lot about voice acting and the video game industry and merchandise in general. But I think like this this episode we kind of want to know a little bit about like what it's like about working in the game industry for you, right, Harada? So I guess if you want to kind of introduce what you do, and also congrats on the new job as well.
Oh, yes. Yes, thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, couldn't really talk about it on last episode because that was literally when we shot that was a day before, like 2 days before I was actually going to start. So I guess, yeah. Hey, everyone. So my name is Harada. I'm currently the director for online engagement at a studio called Gearbox. So previously, before that, I was actually working head of brand at another game company led by Marcus Leto, who was the co-creator of the Halo universe. Before that, I was actually working, in various outlets, but one most notably was actually a company called Square Enix, primarily, and actually Square Enix Japan. I was located in LA, but I was working for the Square Enix Japan side of things. So for a little game called Final Fantasy 15. So yeah,
just a little,
just a little game.
But yeah,
Teams
so
alone.
for the purpose, I guess, for the first half or first section of this episode, we'll be talking and diving deep into, or going high level, broad strokes with how video games are made, and basically game development and also game publishing, because I've worked in both fields. So currently I'm actually working at Gearbox on the publishing side, but on during the weekends and such, I'm actually creating and directing an indie game. So yeah, pretty exciting.
Wow, that's awesome. I'm sure the audience would like to hear about your insights about the game industry, and you mentioned about that little game like FF15. Just a really little one, not a big deal. So
definitely more than happy to dive in. I guess to share a little bit, I guess, about my story and how I got into the game industry. And in general, though, before I dive into that, I want to first say that it's not something that is super like crazy or anything like that. I want to make sure that whoever is actually interested and wants to break into the entertainment industry, not just video games, but also whether that be in movies, TV, animation, or anything, please feel free to reach out to me, and I'm more than happy to share with you and like help you get into any form in the entertainment industry, because that's kind of a passion of mine as well. I helped currently helping college students, and now recently helping high schoolers as well. But yeah, well, when I dive in and share my story, I just want to at least share that way it's not really that hard. And hopefully this is kind of like a guide. So that way, anyone that's curious about it, I can help basically show the path.
Of course,
So
yeah.
how I got into the industry, I actually first was fortunate enough to be in San Francisco studying animation for animation and visual effects. I wanted to actually first work in films and everything like that. But during my course, I was at a university called Academy of Art University, and there was a program near my senior year where it was actually, funny enough, it was actually through 2K Games and Gearbox where we animated on Borderlands 2 and made some animated shorts. I was fortunate enough to be the lead animator on that and was in their documentary back when Machinima was around. They made a documentary, so they featured us and everything like that. And so I was able to establish some strong industry contacts there. But while I was working on Borderlands 2, I was fortunate enough to work also at a mobile game company called Glue Mobile. And, during that time, they released a game called Kim Kardashian, stuff like that. So that was kind of interesting to see how basically mobile games, how they were marketed and everything like that, and how they were released. While that was happening, I was also working on a AAA product, Borderlands, and was animating a few sequences here and there and also helping out with the documentary. Through that, though, and through my fortunes, and just basically the moral of that was just me saying yes. Whenever there was an opportunity, I wasn't necessarily shy away from it. I just jumped at the opportunity and said yes. I didn't know how it would go or anything, but I just wanted to seize the opportunity. So that's, I guess, the moral of that part of that story. Now, after that, and after my time at Glue Mobile, I was fortunate enough to be reached out by the recruiters at 2K Games, and through there, I was working on NBA 2K and animating a lot of the NBA 2K15, which that was the first time that they showed the story mode and everything like that, where you can create your character. And I was animating a lot of the NBA stars, and like Shaquille O'Neal as well and stuff like that. And Shaquille O'Neal actually came to the office one time, and it was really cool. It was a really cool experience. I really appreciated it. Through there, though, I then was fortunate enough to work at a company called Telltale Games, where I was the cinematic artist and basically worked on numerous IPs there. What was interesting about Telltale Games, though, was that during that time, I began realizing something about me, where I kind of was more interested more on the back end of things, like how were we acquiring a lot of IPs. For example, they just announced back then that we were working on a Marvel title, but at the same time I already knew that we were working on a Batman title. So for me, just being the nerd that I am, I'm like, how are we able to work on both DC and Marvel at the same time? That's like a nerd's dream. But I just wanted to know how does that all work out? How does the business side of those things work? How does the marketing and all that stuff? So even though, yes, I was still working as a developer on all that stuff, I was starting to get curious more and more about publishing. I worked on a lot of titles and a lot of episodes for Telltale, but then after that, I actually left game development for a little bit, and I did some soul searching, and I thought I still wanted to be an animator. And I do mean the word thought, and I'll get into that in a second. But through there, I was also doing a lot of contract work, both in the Bay Area in San Francisco, but also in LA, whether it be films, commercials, and stuff like that for numerous projects. But after that, I actually was lucky and fortunate enough to work at a company called Twitch. So, where I think this is being hosted on and everything right now. So for Twitch headquarters, I wasn't a streamer or anything like that, but this was back in 2016 and everything. And from there, I was able to actually understand more about marketing. And that's where something sparked more inside me. I realized that I actually had a passion more for marketing and networking and basically that whole side of things, more on the publishing side, rather than I ever did when I was, let's say, an animator. It was more, again, of just like, I didn't necessarily know exactly all of it just yet, but I was learning more about the marketing side of things and like basically working with partners and everything like that. And just basically establishing myself and like understanding KPIs and like how to basically you can track yourself. Sorry, I don't want to like dive way too deep into marketing here, but you can basically track yourself and like with all this data. And that's something that I began to really, really appreciate, because one thing about animation is, yeah, you have your demo reel.
Oops.
That's how you basically can show your, where you're at, where your talents are at. But with marketing and all these other things, you can actually show yourself with results, and it just drives. So, talk is cheap, but action speaks louder than words, and so that's what I really like.
So wait, Chris. So that's what made you leave animation?
Well,
Marketing side is
yes.
just that much more appealing?
Yeah. So basically, through that and everything, yeah. And to answer your question, John, I actually believe that passion, we don't really get to choose our passions in life. And I think I said that in the first episode as well. Is like, and that's why I tell everybody is really listen to yourself, listen internally what you're truly passionate about, because basically you don't, and this is just my life philosophy, but you don't really get to choose what you're really passionate about, and you shouldn't be ashamed about that. Work becomes so much easier once you truly find your passion. If I chose my passion, I'd still be animating and just be just as happy, but I wasn't necessarily happy being an animator. I
I
can
got you.
animate. I still can, and I do that from time to time, especially on my indie game, helping out and everything. But mainly what I ultimately like doing is actually more of, I guess, the marketing side of things, but also business development. That's not necessarily what I do at Gearbox. It's definitely more marketing and also communications. That's more of what I do at Gearbox. But for back in the day at V1, near the end of my time at V1, business development was stuff I was exploring and became very happy with. So I wish I can dive more into, but yeah, but after Twitch, I was fortunate enough to then work at, and I received a job offer from Hajime Tabata-san at Square Enix Japan.
That's awesome.
Back when back when he was working at Square Enix, and I was leading the community side of things for Final Fantasy 15, which was amazing, and a great, amazing learning experience there. From all that, long story short, I wanted to learn more and more, and so I worked in media. So I was fortunate enough to also work at CBSI for a little bit, helping out with GameSpot, and revamped a few things here and there from certain point of views, and like from their Twitter and everything like that. But while I was doing all that, I then actually found a company called V1 Interactive, led by a personal hero of mine, Marcus Leto, who was making a game called Disintegration. From there, though, I thought that it would be a great learning opportunity to learn from Marcus Leto, which it definitely was. And so I left GameSpot, and I literally moved all the way up to Seattle to basically take the risk and push forward and march forward with Marcus. From there, I actually learned a ton about how video games were made, because it was a 30-man studio at its height, and from there I was able to see, okay, what is the A, B, C, D, how are all games made? Because I only knew from an animation side of the development, but then I got to see from basically the overall scope. And then from there, even after Disintegration was released, like we were, we were pitching and we were talking to publishers, and that's when I began to acquire certain skills and experience with business development, and really saw, though, like truly understand what, and I can get into it in a second, but like what a proof of concept is, what a prototype is, what a vertical slice, all of those things, which I can explain in a little bit, but what basically makes a game and the overall game process. But I don't know if that's necessarily fascinating, but more than happy to share. So
I mean, yeah, I'm very curious about like how internally on the development side, like how a video game is made. And I'm sure everyone in the audience too is kind of interested in learning about the process. Like so there's pre-production, and then there's development, and then there's post, and then after that is the other side that's not like development related. So since you were working on both sides at certain times of your career, can you give us a little bit more insight on like exactly how is a video game even made, and what's the process?
For sure, yeah, definitely. So and I love how you used a lot of those analogies and stuff, like posts and stuff like that. It is very reminiscent almost to like film in some ways, but basically for a video game, before anything, one of the first things about it is you would essentially be inspired. As David Fincher says, inspiration is everything. So once you're inspired, you create a game doc. And a game doc, there are certain formats for it, but again, please keep in mind, when I dive into this is all high level stuff. There's much more stuff than just this, but at the same time, every studio is different. Sometimes a game gets picked up by literally just, I've without naming the name, I've literally heard stories and I've seen it where it's just literally just a doc, like they just share a doc, and then it's already established company. So, publishers are like, okay, yes, but I'll go over the broad strokes of ideally how things are usually made and the overall steps from that. So for the game doc itself, you can break that down. It's very, you can either use, I've seen people use PowerPoints for the game doc. I've seen people use Google Slides, even just regular Word docs. It all varies. So when I say the word game doc, please don't keep in mind that you have to follow a strict path. That's very far from the case, especially in the game industry. What's most ultimately important for anyone is your passion. So definitely just be passionate about it, because this is something that you're going to be probably spending many, many years on. So obviously you have the game doc, then you have a proof of concept. How proof of concepts are usually made and formed is once you have the game doc and you have a team established, or let's say this is an indie game. We're just talking in perspective of indie games. So you have a team amongst yourselves. You do a game jam or something like that. What a game jam is basically is you go together and you basically create something in X amount of days or hours or something like that. That's one way of making a proof of concept. You can also do it not in a game jam, but you can also make it in just like a few weeks and stuff like that. But what a game jam essentially is it's like the bare fundamentals. Is like the step before a prototype. So basically, you just basically see what the true like mechanics are for the game. Like, is this fun and stuff like that? Is this idea? Are we able to translate what's on the game doc into an engine, whether it be Unity, Unreal, or even like a self-made engine, which might not be the wisest at first, but if you can do it, more power to you. From there, though, then you would ideally make a prototype. A prototype, essentially what that is it's again like the mechanics of the game, the core mechanics of the game. Essentially you would ideally want to have the game loop, a mission loop or anything like that in the game. And I can get into the loops in a second. But you would want basically that portion of the game. It doesn't have to be the most pretty, but you want to basically have it leave a strong lasting impression, because after you have a prototype, you want to develop ideally a pitch doc. And now this pitch doc, what that would basically have is you want the idea of like the world of your game. What is this game about? It's ideally your pitch doc will be a PowerPoint or a doc, whatever, a Word doc, whatever you think is comfortable. For me personally, and from when I spoke to a lot of publishers in my day, they prefer like PowerPoints and everything like that, just to see accompanied with a prototype. But yeah, you would want to like have like the world, explain all about it, the pillars. What pillars basically means is like what makes the game the game. Like, is there high replayability? Is it dynamic combat? Etc. Stuff like that. Then there's the game loop, mission loop, all that stuff. How I can best describe the game loop and everything like that actually is like what a very ingenious way of one indie game that was able to do it from Supergiant Games was a game called Hades. Hades is essentially almost like its whole game is like a game loop. Like you basically go through, you progress, you die. You're supposed to, at least from the story, and they make it, and then you all of a sudden restart and near the beginning, and then you go in and you're a bit stronger and stuff like that. There's different like every game has their own type of game loops, but essentially what was unique and fun about Hades was that they were able to incorporate that into it. So that was kind of like the loop and the progression and stuff like that. And the loot you acquire, and do you keep the loot if you die or not, stuff like that. Again, that's super broad strokes. Like there's much more, but I don't want to derail the conversation and just have this about me.
It's totally fine.
So,
No, that's super cool.
Yeah, and then there's in the pitch you would want the art style, overall story, the key features, what makes it unique. And then the project scope. The project scope would be like, what will the game provide the publisher and audience as a whole, and possible expansions, and then comparables. Like when I say comparables, obviously we want to make it seem like every game is very unique and everything, but we all get inspired from other things. Like if it's a looter game, if we're making like a looter based type of game, we might want to use Destiny as an example, or Borderlands. The reason why we have comparables in the pitch is because you want to make sure that whoever is going to fund your game, you're able to best explain it to them. Like they need to know like what type of game are you trying to make. So that's why comparables are very important. And then like basically a timeline. You need like basically a timeline to show like, okay, well, when will you have your milestones and everything like that? How long will this game take to be made? And like when can they expect the vertical slice and stuff like that?
What's a vertical slice?
Overall budget. Yeah. So basically, you want the budget and the goals. So vertical slice, what that is essentially is you can think of it almost like in your terms again, Audrey, and I know you've worked in film before as well, is like, think of it almost like a TV pilot. Like a vertical slice is
Oh, okay.
essentially like, it's a demo. It's like a section,
Yeah.
a very, very high polished part of the game. Like ideally, if the game was finished already, you would then just have, you know, this one section, and that's what the vertical slice is. It's just one section of what the finished game would be like. Ideally, like it's like what E3 demos are like. But of course, everything's subject to change. Not going to mention any games here and there, but obviously things do change. But that's what a vertical slice essentially is. And there's
Okay.
more to it like that, but that's the very broad strokes. And then obviously you want to meet your milestones and everything like that, and have a strong working relationship with, if you do have a, you know, publisher, with your publisher and stuff.
I
So
have
then,
a question.
oh yeah, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Audrey. Go
No,
ahead,
no, you
Audrey.
go first.
No, go ahead.
No, please.
My question is in relation to what you mentioned earlier, because you said something about a AAA game, and we've been talking about indie games as well.
Yeah.
I had the privilege of meeting two unbelievably talented young African American men who put out two indie games when I was just over in Boston
Nice.
for the PAX con that we had right before COVID hit. And I was fascinated by all the different indie games that were out there. So what exactly is the difference between an indie game and a AAA game?
For sure. So the most basic and vague, and I'll just get that out there real quick. The most basic and vague answer is honestly budget and scope. I know that seems like for example, like a AAA game probably would be, you would put a lot more money, if that makes sense, into it. Like basically a AAA game would cost, like, I don't want to say like the exact numbers, but like very much higher than an indie game. Like they're, you know, and because of that though, with a AAA game, you might see a little bit more patterns with a AAA game. Like some games might all, I don't want to say feel the same, definitely not, but definitely might have a bit more patterns. Like you might see, like in terms of gameplay and mechanics, like you might be like, oh, well, this is just like A, B, and C. The reason for that is because when there's a AAA game, when there's funding for it and everything like that, they need to make sure that this game is a hit, because if they're putting a lot of money into it, it definitely needs to recuperate. That's why you might see a lot of games like, well, I don't want to mention, like, just because of the industry and everything that's super small, but like you might see a lot of games that come out every year after year after year,
like
from certain
sports games.
Yeah, or so. Yeah, exactly. Because they're usually, you know, they have a history of always returning, you're making a profit. So like those are the type of things for AAA. So it's a very much more business oriented. It's like they're in the business essentially of getting their money back. That's not all AAA. I don't want to say that essentially, but you know, from the scope of things from a project, that's what they're like really focused on. There's a lot of, you know, focus testing, you know, key target audience, like who are we actually targeting towards, you know, and everything like that. You know, what they do a lot more research also on like what are Generation Z's interested in and everything and stuff like that.
Audrey, you eating potato chips? What's going on?
Sorry.
You're good.
No, I had to do something down here. Something like fell. So.
But basically, like a AAA game is like super polished, and like they have like a whole team like of 700 people or more working on it. So that way they just know that this is like a guaranteed, like I don't want to say hit, because you never know, but like basically
just investing more money into
a higher success rate. Indie game, what's great about indie games though is that, yes, when I say patterns, you could probably see like, oh yeah, well, there's a bunch of indie games that are pixel art or like are, you know, 2D platformers, yes, but most of them have such a unique gameplay to it, a unique core value or story that is told. It's a much more, I don't want to say passion project, because obviously indie developers still, you know, obviously ideally want to make a living off of their work. And ideally would only want to be game developers, not just work on it on the side. But indie games are usually much more passion focused, and they're not really necessarily worried about like, you know, what Gen Zs are interested in or anything like that. It's more like from the heart, if that makes sense. But the reason, it's not a problem, but basically the outcome of that is, you know, sometimes an indie game, the budget will range, and this is very broad. But it might be either 100,000 to, if it's like, if the indie publishing studio really believes in it, then it would be like, you know, maybe 3 million or 5 million, 8 million.
Wow, for an indie game, it's still 3 million.
No. So like
Oh.
that's pretty rare though sometimes too. Like that, those are in broad terms, and I don't want to label which games. Sometimes they're still only in the six figures, but it's usually 6 figures to 7 figures is the range. It's not the hundreds of
Wow.
millions of dollars or
But still, like,
50
in the
plus.
All right. Yeah,
millions.
I'm with Audrey on that. Like, I'm so I got questions about that though, because Audrey brings up a point. Even 6 figures, right, Audrey?
That's
That's like, oh
huge.
wow.
I was thinking like $100,
Here's my
and we
thing.
just like, I don't know, do it for free.
Not $100 to develop it and everything, but I guess my questions would be if that's the case for an indie film, because we already know what a AAA game is. We already
Yeah.
know that it's usually with a major company or a developer that actually has a series of that particular game going, and like you said, they can redo it
Yeah.
every year. But for an indie, two questions in that. For an
Mhm.
indie game, if the game is really good and popular, or it's made by someone who is a popular um, uh, a person who put it together, gamer or developer, would the another company come along and say, "Oh my gosh, this is a great game. We want to develop it into something bigger"? Has that happened? That's the first question. Has that happened where someone said, "Hey, we want to invest more into this game to make it bigger than actually what it is"? And then like the numbers that I know those weren't actual numbers, or you're just kind of ballparking it and everything, but how much then does the developer, how much do they make out of that? I mean, what is their percentage? Because
Yeah,
I know that they've got the people who are working on, there's so much more behind the scenes that happen
Mm,
other
for
than,
sure.
hi,
Yeah,
my
yeah.
name is this and I created this game. There's so many other people that are
Mhm.
working on it.
mm,
How much is
Yeah.
that developer, how much do they see of that?
mm,
For sure. So a lot of that. So that was definitely, those were two loaded questions. Again, I want to preface this that it's like not saying all indie games take 100,000. It like some are like super cheap, but like we have to keep in mind when you develop an indie game, ideally this is like a game, and this doesn't always happen, but ideally this is a game that this person is working full time, and if they have
Hmm.
a team of people, let's say it's only they make 50,000 a year. If they make 50,000 a year, and they need you can only pay for two people then,
Right, right.
for like 1 year, and like sometimes it might take longer. So like when you really think about it, 100,000 isn't really that much money if you want to fund, like basically provide. So that
Mhm.
way people work on it 40 hours a week, or maybe more, and they just focus on said project. Again,
Mhm.
mm,
there's very that's there's many different stories of people that work a main job and then work on it aside. For example, like I'm not being funded for my indie game that I'm making right now. I'm basically working with two of my other friends that have worked in the industry. One of the artists, well, it's one artist and one engineer. The artist has worked on games like Hades and stuff like that before. So he's not working in the industry right now. He's just working on this. And then same with the engineer. Like he's not working currently in the games. He's doing something else in tech. But both of them are allowed to work on this game, which is great. I made sure though before I signed on with Gearbox that like legally I was allowed to. I told them about my project. So that
mm,
way I'm not working on it at all during work hours. I'm not touching or using any of Gearbox's products, like any
Mhm.
of their tools to make this. This is all separate.
Mhm.
I keep it all separate legally, so making sure that I'm aware of what's legally allowed. But yeah, right now we're not being funded, if that makes sense. Like it's free. Like
Mhm.
this game will be made free, and that's ideally what we'll do. Is like this game will be made free, and then like whatever happens at the end will happen. But yeah, so like
Okay, so you can't just skate over that. So
okay,
whatever happens at the end, so you finish the game.
yeah,
It's
I
a
mean,
popular game,
yeah,
and
well,
everyone enjoys playing the game. So obviously, people will have to have means to purchase the
for sure,
game, to play
for
the game.
sure.
mm.
And there's
So is that when you see the result financially for you and the two friends? So it's because it's going to be split three ways. I'm just going down to the bare basics. Is that when you then see the results of it, or do you have to push it? Do you have to promo it? All that?
So I honestly don't know, because I don't want to speak on behalf of like my two other coworkers on this, like and as well as also because I want to always be respectful for my main job. It all
Right,
depends on what my main job is. 100% comfortable with, and my employer. If they're not
right.
comfortable with me or whatever, then like about with other people or anything like that, then yeah, I'll respect that 100%. Again, we worked on this because we had like a really solid idea, and like
Cool.
Mhm.
it's been yeah, it's been going on really well. But to answer your other
You
questions,
have
how
NDAs too. Ha! I'm
I
not the
guess
only
I
one.
guess Well, also, there's quite a bit of people watching this right now, so I don't want to be quoted or
So
anything,
everybody, I'll say it for Chris.
right? But
NBA.
but besides that, to your question about like games being picked up on more funding and stuff like that, there's numerous stories of that. So like, let's say this hypothetically, like we were all three of us made a game. We're all working on a game right now. What we would then do is ideally, like, let's say Audrey, we're making an Aitai Chat game, right? Audrey would make a game doc. She would write it all out and everything like that. Then, we would really like it. We would develop the proof of concept, make a prototype for it, stuff like that. Then, we would work on the pitch doc. Then, maybe we would shop around for a publisher. But at the same time, if, no publisher was really like being receptive. And when I say publisher, it doesn't just mean indie publishers. There's many like Raw Fury and such that are indie publishers. But then there's also AAA publishers that still talk about it. They're like,
they then front the money?
I'll just say there are AAA publishers that definitely look into funding indie games. There definitely are. So without naming names, but basically you shop around, and that's where business development is. And the key aspect to that, what I'll tell anybody though, is if you're doing that, one of the best things that you should first do is just 100% ideally if and when like the pandemic's over, and the conventions are open again, and if things resume to how it was pre-2020, so like if it was like in 2019 and everything like that, events like the Game Developers Conference, you can you can volunteer. That's for free. Like you can go there instead of paying $3,000 or $2,000 for a ticket. You can go there for free and you're not necessarily volunteering. They actually pay you, so they pay you an hourly rate for how many hours you're actually working. So it's better than even volunteering at like, let's say other gaming events. So I definitely encourage that. That's something that I myself still have done in the past many, many times. And I'm more than happy, like if people want to reach out, please reach out to me. I'm more than happy to explain that process more to you. But basically the Game Developers Conference is vital. And besides that, there's also events like PAX. One of the best PAXs to go to if you're an indie developer or you want to get into indie development is like PAX West, or at least even if it's, not like if you just don't want to pay for the PAX ticket. I believe that there's the indie part of it. Correct me if I'm wrong. I always pay, so I don't know if you need the badge or not. I don't remember, but I think you can go to the indie part and you don't have to necessarily pay. I might be wrong, but like you can at least go there. You can talk. And what's great about a lot of indie developers, they're happy to share, like establish those connections, because who knows, they might know someone from an indie publisher that can talk. So let's say we did that. We went to PAX West, we talked to someone, they connected us to a publisher. That's great. But if we still didn't really agree to the terms, because sometimes what publishing essentially is basically like, they will provide a service for you. They'll help you with marketing. They'll help you basically push the game. They will fund it. They will give you more money if you need to like help create this game, yada, yada, yada. They can like provide service to porting the game and like connecting you to all these, first party platforms. That way you can basically make sure that your game goes on PlayStation, Xbox, or, Switch, or even on Steam or Epic Game Store, any of those. They handle all of that on that back end. You don't really do that. That's not your job anymore. Your job is just to make the game. But ideally, let's say we didn't want to do that. We wanted to choose where we go to. Well, there's also aspects like, there's Kickstarters and all that other stuff that was huge back in 2012. That was like really big, but for better or worse, things have changed. But there's still many games that I love to death, like Hyper Light Drifter and all those games that I had, Kickstarters and stuff like that. But then, not saying that those games like got picked up by publishers or anything like that, but essentially if we did that and it was a Kickstarter and things were great and everything was good, we can use that as an outlet. There's also now something called Kowloon Knights, which is basically they're an investor. They're not a publisher, but what they'll do is they'll fund you, and then essentially they'll give you the money so that way you focus solely on your game and everything like that, and then you pay them back. It's like basically they give you a loan. Almost like going to the bank. You go to the bank.
You tell them the terms, right? You say, this is how much I need to do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, that would be in the pitch docs. Okay. And you would negotiate that. So you'd negotiate with the budget, the timeline, milestones, all that stuff.
Okay, so the game gets done and it comes out.
The game gets done and everything like that. Then they choose which platforms. And ideally, you would have already negotiated, like the publisher takes, 50, 40, 30%, whatever of the revenue. But at first, though, since they give you the money, what usually happens is, since they already funded you, they will make sure to first get paid, up until they break even, then you start getting residual, like you're basically getting a percentage of it. Like you get like
Okay.
50, 60, 70% of whatever the game sales are. That will then come to you into your studio and stuff like that.
Do you
Oh,
work
wow.
as a developer? Can you work your budget into what you would get paid to do that work, or no? Is it specifically just to develop the project?
So, wait, I'm not sure if I understand the
Like,
question. Sorry about.
for me to get paid to do that many hours for my game, I
Mhm.
need X, Y, Z,
Yeah.
and this is how much I need to do the game. This is what I want to get paid,
Yep.
and this are my people to get paid, and
Yep.
this is what I need to do
Yeah,
the
yeah.
game.
Like, so whatever you need to get paid, that would be allocated. So that would be all in within the budget and
Okay.
everything like that. So like that.
That you would negotiate for upfront from the company.
Yes, and then they
Gotcha.
pay, but they usually every publisher is different. So again, like this is very broad, high level terms. So like,
Yeah, no, that was my question, because I just don't want anybody to be discouraged when they say, "Hey, I got this great game concept. I want to develop this. I want to do the best. I want to put it out there." If a publisher comes, do I say, "Hey, I'm going to fund it myself because they're going to try to take X amount of percentage out," or do I just say, "Hey, I'm going to go with them because it's my first time or whatever it may be, and I'm going to have them do it. I'm going to let this one hit, and my next one I'm going to do myself because you see what I'm saying? I
yeah,
just
no,
want people to
exactly.
be
Yeah,
encouraged so that
yeah,
they don't go, "Ah, this thing I've created, I've got $10 at the end of it," you know?
well, yeah.
So
I have a few friends who have done that actually, where exactly what you said, they sign on with a publisher. One thing is that what you can usually do, and what's really friendly about a lot of indie publishers, what they usually do is they will fund and everything like that, and you can actually negotiate that you yourself, you own the IP. So you own the IP. So like if you make a sequel, all they do though is they get the first dibs on if they want to fund the next one or not, and then they can pass on it or whatever, and then you can move. And if they pass on it, then you can move on and like do whatever you want with the next sequel with another publisher or whatever, but you own that IP. So that's
okay,
something that I've seen with a lot of indie publishers. It's very friendly.
okay.
Or sometimes what they'll do is they'll just pay upfront saying like, we really like this IP, we would like to own it, can we buy it from you? Now be careful of that, because if this is a world you really love, be careful selling your IP, because then they can literally be like, okay, bye, and then they'll
Right,
like
right.
hire anyone and stuff like that. So and there's been stories like that, which I won't name names and stuff. The industry's small, but you just be careful about that. Like even if it's like a lot of money and you're really happy, just know what's more important: this world you created or this. Like, and if you have more worlds you want to create, but that money can help fund it, then that's still on your personal side of things
Gotcha.
and like more soul searching on
I
that.
know I asked a whole bunch of questions that didn't have
No, no, it's
anything. I
good. It's
just want to
good.
make sure that, like, for folks who just don't know and they may have those questions, hopefully we answer some questions that people have in the
Sure.
chat.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
just
That's
want to make
really
sure we covered
interesting
it
though.
that
I
way.
mean, so like in terms of like developing a game though, whether it be indie or AAA, it pretty much is like the same, right? The outline is the same. You have a like you
Mhm.
mentioned the jam, right, where you get together, you talk about your ideas, and then afterwards you develop the game, and then after you have that what was the thing that you mentioned, that name that's basically like a reel?
Oh, you mean like engines and stuff like that,
Oh no
or
no
what
no,
word?
like
Sorry.
Real engine?
Or like prototyping,
yeah,
or
like at the end you have a demo. Like in film, it would be like a
oh, vertical
demo.
slice.
Oh,
Vertical
vertical
slice.
slice. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a really cool term.
As we just
Yeah,
learned a cool term. I'm
yeah,
gonna be talking
vertical
about it all day.
slice.
Hey baby, I
Yeah.
want a vertical slice of pizza.
Like
Okay.
it
Yeah.
sounds really cool. It sounds very like digital, so yeah, I think it's really awesome that like no matter the budget or whatever, if it's AAA or if it's an indie game, like there's still so much that goes through the process, involving many people, or if it's only 2 or 3 people, up to hundreds of people. So yeah, it's really cool that you Harada specifically were able to kind of experience both worlds, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Which one
Well, yeah,
did
and I'm
you which one did you prefer?
for me, honestly, as a main job, I love publishing. Right now, what I do
Mm,
primarily focused actually is more on just online engagement and everything
mm,
like that. I have a team that's actually like a remarkable, amazing team that I'm leading right now. They're just so proactive. It's definitely a breath of fresh air. But basically, through them and through everything, what I'm looking at more of is like basically helping market via social and everything like that, and that definitely has changed. Every company is a little bit different how they approach social, but
mm,
to be honest, and what I always tell everybody now is that marketing in general, not just in games, but just the marketing landscape has changed tremendously. And a lot of people in marketing are kind of scared about that, whether it be in brand or PR and stuff like that, because social is a new beast. When social was first being implemented and considered back in 2009, people made fun of it. Like they're like, "What? You have a Facebook account?" You know, or like when Twitter was made after and stuff like that. People are like, "What? What's going on?" So like that's where the stigma came from, was like for social marketing stuff like that, that's like the intern's job, because like anyone can do it. But now, as we've seen historically, actually, and I won't name names, but like a lot of companies, both games and at least I'll say Burger King definitely felt the wrath of it, where like if you don't think correctly about how you do social marketing, it can really bite you in the butt for your entire company. But like there's also game companies that have felt that as well. So that's why you need really experienced individuals who actually know, because essentially social marketing, you're almost like a hybrid of brand and PR, because you're speaking on behalf of the company, but you're also you're representing a brand. So that's why when because right now we're hiring a community manager, at my company, but when I'm looking for them, and what I look for in the role is a very experienced individual, because I'm looking for someone who understands both brand and PR. So that's going to definitely change. So like there's still this stigma sometimes of people thinking that, oh, community management is like something that's entry level or getting your foot. Like a coordinator, yes, you can definitely start off as coordinator and then work your way up to coordinator, associate, then manager and stuff like that. That's totally fine. Or be community rep. But it's such a broad term. But now more and more, a lot of companies are kind of treating it a bit more, I don't want to say serious, like they never treated it seriously, but they're taking it a little bit more senior, because you have to understand what KPIs are. I guess that's my biggest advice, that anyone wants to do community, which, by the way, if anyone does, feel free to reach out to me, because I'm more than happy to share my knowledge with any of you. But
share your damn knowledge with what a KPI is.
Yeah, so that's like key performance indicator. So basically, like for marketing and stuff like that, for social marketing,
using all this terminology, like Chris just got, he's a genius, y'all. Y'all got to give him a little
no. But like basically, like it's like reach and stuff like that. You need to know how to measure your performance, because a lot of people still, like when I speak to a lot of individuals, they just say, "Oh, all you do is just post," right? Or they won't understand the pros and cons of each social platform. One thing I'll show very high level overview, but for just social in general is, and this is what I try to definitely tell people, because the knowledge is all there, but people don't really think to like Google it or research it. They always think inwards, but they don't really think outwards. And I always tell people, you need to like really empathize and truly understand who you're speaking to, because like they're hiring you because essentially you're there to solve a problem. And right now, if you're for community or social, whatever, you're here to solve a problem for social. You're here to educate them. So I always tell people, become professionals in all of that. Know all the social platforms. I was fortunate enough to be staying for 10 years in San Francisco. So for all the tech companies, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all of that in Silicon Valley, like those are all my friends in those industries. So like I had lunch and everything. And I just heard all their stories. So I understand the pros and cons, but that's still on Google. So one aspect that, I hear a lot of people say is like, they think, oh, Twitter's number one. Twitter's really strong. Twitter is the best when it comes to connecting your brand to media. What that means is like, whether it be journalism and stuff like that, that's where they get the news, or even influencers. Influencers use Twitter a lot. But to be frank, Twitter, there's only 300 million monthly active users or so. Like it's around there the last time I checked. While, Facebook, even though everyone thinks Facebook's dead, Facebook actually has 2 billion. Now, if you compare that 2 billion to 300 million, and that's monthly active users, regardless of that. Also,
no, that's important, man, because people think Facebook is for old people too, like me. But that's what they say. Dad, why are you using for twice? Because it gets out there. But you're the one who taught me. Don't make it a small issue, because what you're talking about is for real, and this is for people who are trying to market themselves, market their products, market their podcasts, market. People don't understand. I mean, you are the one who taught me. You and Audrey both, who taught me that there's an algorithm that when you're about to do something, you need to know when you're going to post, how you're going to post, what you're going to post, what's catching to the eye and the ear at times, to get ready for people to receive this product that you're delivering, because it's all about business. I always tell people, and you're saying it in so many different ways, you and Audrey both, this is a business. The minute you
Mhm.
forget it's a bit entertainment, the minute you forget entertainment is a business. Yes, you can have fun at it, but the minute you forget that it's a business, you should quit because it is what you do. It is what you are selling. You know,
Right.
in different people's cases, voice, body, face for an actor.
Right.
You're talking about a whole marketing team.
Hmm.
You're talking about a
Yes.
whole HR team. You're talking
Right.
Yeah,
about
and there's
a
like
visual. You know what I'm saying? So it's like this is very important to understand. This is
Right.
yeah,
bigger. So many people wake up in the morning, they want to be, I want to be a star. Well, this is bigger than you wanting to be a star,
Mm.
especially in
yeah,
that
for
this day and
sure.
age.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
and when it comes to okay, yeah, exactly. And one of the things also, knowing your target audience. So
Mhm.
one aspect about it, regardless, before I get into target audience, I'll just say one brief thing about Facebook. Yes, there is the stigma that a lot more older people are into it rather than younger, and that is true. Generation
Just
Z,
keep in
not
mind,
many
those
people.
are the ones with the money.
Yeah, yeah. So, well, but
Many more. The percentage
but
is
yeah, but
higher.
to target
That's true.
your audience, what's great though under the Facebook umbrella is Instagram. Instagram is
Yep.
still at the time right now number one for Generation Z. TikTok is catching up.
It is.
TikTok is like growing at a exponential rate. Granted, how you post on TikTok is definitely way different than what's great about these three other platforms: not TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Is that you can cross pollinate very easily. Your
Yes.
post, as long as it fits. What I always tell people is first make sure your social posts always fit within the Twitter limits and everything like that. And then you can easily cross pollinate onto Instagram, Facebook, and all that stuff. You just need to make sure with Instagram you have an asset and everything. And if it's
Mhm.
with a link, you need to have it to be linked to bio. That's why Linktree and all those other things are great stuff to know. I know I'm speaking really fast, high level stuff, but hopefully people who know social can pretty much pick that up. But one aspect too is like for influencer, like you said, business. I know it's still like some people may be reluctant for TikTok, but TikTok is huge for like maybe cross pollinate for if you're a streamer and stuff like that. I've seen massive success for streamers. I don't stream myself. I'm too busy making my game and like also just marketing and stuff like that. But what I do though is I actually love just chatting and helping out with Audrey. One of the things that we do is literally just share philosophies and ideas and brand. And I just help Audrey with all the brand stuff. And I'm just like, here you go.
Oh yeah.
Because
No.
I actually don't like to be in the spotlight, to be honest. So I like to like just create things. I mean, I like, I have stupid hair, but that's about it. But I
It's
don't
not
really like.
No.
stupid. I like it.
It looks
Thank you,
great.
thank you. But like, I speak too fast, so
No,
so I
no, no,
probably have
no,
to
you
find
don't.
one to like,
You
watch
got a
on.
lot of information going up on under that nice hair.
No, no, I'm just
And
well,
we thank you for relaying it to us
thank
all. This
So
is
then,
great.
I
I
guess.
always learn something when I talk to you.
you.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I guess so. Since we're kind of talking about that subject, I guess we can kind of go into how exactly merchandise marketing works.
Yeah, for sure.
And like
So
the things that go after your let's say after your IP is done and you're ready, like to have it on PlayStation Store and like or wherever wherever outlets it's going to be downloaded from. What next, right?
yeah, so for merchandise, merchandise is one of my favorite things actually, and that all depends. Sometimes that can also be in your pitch doc, like your goals. So like in your
Mm.
goals, like you're saying, like we would like to have merchandise because like the characters we're making are blah 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 blah.
Mm.
Definitely. So that might be in it from a developer side, but usually merchandise is primarily a more marketing tool. It's
Mm.
more in publishing. So like for example, this jacket and everything from Final Fantasy 15, like all of that. Even this chair, from Cyberpunk, like
Yeah,
CD Projekt Red,
Cyberpunk.
like all of that is like kind of like more marketing. So like publishing, they'll like reach out to like certain brands, like whether it be Razer, Cooler Master, any of those you know places, and like they or like super groupies, and they just reach out and say,
Mm.
hey, we're interested. Or sometimes actually what's really cool is sometimes those companies actually reach out to the publishers. They say, hey, I noticed that you guys are releasing this one game that seems really cool. We can make clothes or we can make plushies or anything like that for you guys.
Mm.
Here's some of the products. So it's really cool
Mm.
because sometimes they'll just give you free products to check out or whatever, proof of concept products. I
Mhm.
love those. But they will reach out to that, and maybe sometimes they'll pay for that because they just want to have the rights, and then that could
Right.
work out. But so I'm not saying that sometimes publishers pay for it, they do, and sometimes they don't. It all literally depends. But
Mm.
usually that's it's more on the publishing side of things. But I guess
Mm.
with that actually in mind,
Mhm.
because I'm done talking now, I think the
No,
chat's
it's
done
totally
probably
cool.
hearing me ramble.
No, it's
No,
super
man, we learned a
fascinating.
lot, bro.
Super
Audrey,
fascinating.
please, you're much better at this than me. What's the merchandise schedule like when a new series gets announced? Like, let's say, like super groupies. I love super groupies. So like
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. How does that usually work?
Yeah, so like I guess we could talk about the cyberpunk since it's kind of, a recent topic. So
Definitely can't
basically it
wait.
really depends on the manufacturer side. So let's say it's Super Groupies. They create their own products. So like you mentioned, they would reach out to for cyberpunk oh my gosh, I forgot the publisher. Cyberpunk's publisher
Oh,
is
CD Projekt Red.
Oh yeah. CD Project Red. So yeah, they would reach out and then they would, be like, we want to make products for your IP, and then they would make the product. But this is probably like before the game is even out, right? It really depends on the game, of course, or the anime, for example. But usually, there will be a period of time before the thing is released or aired, that manufacturer would reach out and get the IP if necessary, and pay whatever like the minimum requirement is, or like if there's an overhead or something that they have to pay initially, and then they make the item, and then so when the IP is released, like so in the case of Cyberpunk, when it's released, within that like first release frame, like let's say in a week or a month, whatever like indeterminate amount of time, they would give us, for example, for Aitai, we get press releases. So this press release usually comes before the other news outlets, publicly talk about these new products that are out on the in the market. So for us, like in order to prepare for that, we also add the products at that time. We get exclusive press releases that have NDA time period. So let's say we
Mm.
get a an email at like 9 a.m. From 9 a.m. till like evening 6 p.m. We cannot say anything, but we know like, okay, there's going to be this thing out. And I've also noticed in terms of merchandise that sometimes when we do get a press release in the morning for merchandise that's coming out that night or that day or later the next day, there is new information released. So for example, with Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory, we actually got a press release from the manufacturer like around 9 a.m. And then we looked at the products. We're like, oh wow, that's cool. Like new Kingdom Hearts goods. That's pretty cool. So we market it at the time that we can market it publicly. That's usually in the evening in Japan time. And then later that night, I remember, is when Melody of Memory, the actual game, was announced. So it's kind of like they time it in a way that the consumer can see like, oh wow, like this item is really cool, and then it hypes the consumer to like something else as well. So it's pretty cool to see like the kind of schedule that we get as a press release, as a like email, kind of like a newsletter or so, and then we prepare the products before they are announced. So yeah, that's kind of how like schedules work for manufacturers. But of course, like after a product, an IP, a game, or an anime is released, the flow of merchandise is usually in like kind of random. In the beginning, there's like, of course, a huge wave, and then it kind of comes out like in spots, because it depends on the different types of manufacturers. In Japan, there's like
Mm.
all these different kind of companies that create their own specific type of goods. So, for example, if it's like Good Smile Company, they're known for Nendroids, right? Little Nendroid figurines. Another company is I believe Belfine. They're also really known for their specific types of figurines. Kotobukiya is like specific for art effects figurines, or other companies like Bell House. There's another one called Bell House. They're known for a specific art type, which is like characters
Mhm.
holding like they're like holding something like this, like that's their thing. So every manufacturing company has like their own type of like art style, and they buy the licenses, or sometimes even the publisher would ask them to take the license, to make the product, to help them market the series. So that's kind of like how the marketing side works for how products are how products roll out. But in terms of like social media marketing, it's kind of similar to how what you see usually. People they post on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, etc. Like all of the social media outlets.
You just answered my question because I wanted to know the difference between when it was new and then once it had been out for a while. So you totally answered my question. But I do
Oh,
have another question for
oh
you, if
yeah,
it's
sure,
okay to
sure.
ask.
Yeah, yeah.
What is like, or what are some of the favorite products that you have that you've sold? I mean, like, is it a series? What are some of the ones that they were near and dear to your heart?
Oh, I have, yeah, quite. I mean, I personally don't. I try not to collect too many things myself. But sometimes I do like take things like. I mean, I purchase things from our own like website. Yeah,
Right.
Aitai Chat. So I guess for me, like what I like collecting are plushes. So like little plushes, and actually I did also bring a couple of yeah, like items that we can share later in this Aitai chat. But also if you guys are in the chat, you can do exclamation Aitai Kuji, and we also have a special coupon code for everyone watching today. So and we'll be
What?
doing
You giving away free special stuff?
and having a giveaway. But yeah,
I
you just
love it.
exclamation mark Aitai Kuji. You can see the coupon code that we have. It will be a 300 yen off. So anyone who's interested, check it out for sure.
I
But
should
yeah.
show off my stuff, man. I'm gonna
Oh
show
yeah,
off
but
my stuff when I get a
for I
chance.
guess stuff like yeah, that I really do like personally it would be, yeah, I like plushes a lot. So yeah, that's
That's
something I collect a lot.
cool.
Yeah, but I do have
That's
some other
cool.
products I brought. I don't know if you guys want to see like some cool Final Fantasy VII
Heck
merchandise.
yeah, we want to. We want to.
Okay.
Heck yeah. Is that what the potato chip noise was?
Oh no, something actually fell just now. So I had to clear this area. So I don't
Oh,
know if you saw. I was like kind of like but it's
oh,
all good.
you
But
you did it smooth. It's just I heard the noise. I'm like, she's giving away stuff. She's giving away stuff.
no, no. Yeah, so I guess some products that I really enjoyed. Whoa, the wind is like howling outside right now for some reason.
Hmm.
But in either case,
I thought
like
Harada was whistling.
these little stamp sets. I don't know if you guys can see. But
Wow.
this is only sold at the Square Enix Cafe. And some people asked us to help them get it. So a lot of customers usually request like, "Hey, can you help me pick this item up or whatever?" And then so since we keep on getting those requests, we just like every new type of event, we'll be like, "Oh, someone's gonna probably ask us for this item anyway," so we would help them acquire it in that way. But this item is like a stamp set. I don't know if you can see Lucy. Oh, there we go.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, it's like Cloud, Aerith, Tifa, Sephiroth, Reno, Rude. They're like these little stamps that they're completely useless, but all they do is just like have little captions on them. So for like Sephiroth, he's like laughing. It says like that. Yeah, so
That's
this
funny.
item is only available at the Square Enix Cafe in Akihabara and in Osaka. So like those are quite limited edition items that we carry, and some other items that I brought that I like because I was mentioning plushes, but I really like this Moogle plush from FF7
Ah,
remake.
the
So
Moogle.
yeah, this Moogle plush is from the Kuji game, FF7 remake Kuji game. This item was actually only released through the Kuji, and it looks exactly like the
Mm,
Moogle in the game. This is one of my like favorites
mm.
because it looks exactly like the Moogle. It even has like the little fur here. So yeah, so for Kuji items, they're like usually sold. I mentioned it in the previous episode, but they're usually sold in like convenience stores or hobby on-site hobby shops, and you have to play a ticket. You have to buy a ticket to open to see what you get, and so this is one of the prizes that you can get from the FF7 remake Kuji game that came out last year. But yeah, it's adorable, so cute. And
I'm telling you, I still think that Kuji game is one of the best things ever invented. Because
oh
once again, to me, that's a big item. I
yeah.
would expect something like you won this, and and you're like pulling out a straight up Moogle. It's like, come on, man, I gotta come there just to play that doggone game. I'm
Yeah.
purchasing that one. I'm letting you know now. You better have a couple of them in the shop. That's a
Yeah,
good one.
we have a lot of those
That's a good
in
one.
stock. So so usually when a Kuji is like announced or released, we allow the customers to play the Kuji game itself, or they can just buy it individually. So like for larger items, we help source these sometimes individually as well. So yeah, like this guy over here.
Yeah,
Or
don't be
girl, or girl.
surprised if some KoopaCon folks just hit you up like all tonight for that one. That's a really good one. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna lie.
actually, speaking of KuboCon, like I was speaking with Alex in one of his live streams last month, and I did show off one of these products in the stream. So if anyone in the chat was watching that KuboCon, it's probably like the same content. But I did bring a music box. So this is a Final Fantasy
Oh,
VII Remake music box. This one in particular is Tifa's theme. So I don't know if
what?
maybe you want to hear it. I can like kind of like do twist
No,
it
it's
up
here.
so you can hear
I
it.
love
Okay.
Audrey. Do you want it? You know everybody in the chat's going, heck yeah, what's wrong with you? Play it.
But
'Cause I
yeah,
am.
so it's really cute. It's very short, like tune, but it's very cute. So I don't know if you can hear it.
I can't hear it. Can you hear it?
I can hear it
Not
slightly,
enough.
just slightly.
Let me see if I
Oh,
can.
there it goes. Put it closer to the mic or something. It's going in and out.
Can you guys hear it?
Only when you
Yeah.
talk.
Only when you talk. I guess you have to talk the whole
Maybe
time.
if you just hum.
Yeah,
it'll
there you go.
I'm trying to put it right next to the mic. Let's see.
There you go. Just keep talking. Whenever you
Oh.
talk, we hear it.
Oh, I
Yeah,
see.
you have to talk.
The chat can hear it, but because we're using Discord, I have to talk so you can hear it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, dang it.
Yeah.
Chat,
Chat,
y'all get
chat's
to hear
like-
something we can't.
Because I see the
That's not
chat.
even right.
I see the chat like
I
saying
love it,
like.
though.
I see the chat saying like
It's
we can
the
hear
chat-
it really
the chat-
clearly.
Look, it's all about the chat anyway for me. I
for
ain't gonna
sure.
lie. I'm glad y'all can hear it.
Actually,
Yeah,
on that,
but
You know it's the bomb if Audrey's got it, so it's about, I'm good.
But yeah,
with that.
there's also an Aerith theme and the main theme and On Our Way. But I only brought Tifa because I had it open already for the previous time I did it on KoopaCon. So I didn't want to open like products and so this is like our sample now. But yeah, all of the
Yeah, you'd be surprised, Audrey, because you held it. It is something more special. So
Oh,
people
God.
be like, oh, I got the box that Audrey held.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we have to
But yeah.
just have this as display now. But there's Aerith's theme, main theme, and On Our Way plus Tifa's theme. And Square Enix makes these music boxes for all different series. Recently they did it for Nier Automata, Nier Replicant, and there's also a re-release for FF14. So on our website, yeah, we have all of those music boxes available if anyone's interested. And they're very cheap. They're only 1,600 yen or 1,700 yen. So that's like $16, $15. So yeah,
That's
not
great.
too bad. So yeah,
That's
little
great.
music boxes here.
But yeah, Audrey, actually,
yeah.
one of my favorite items for Final Fantasy VII that I actually got through Aitai Chat is actually the and I use it for work actually is this Final Fantasy VII Remake glasses.
Oh, that's an old one, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So like that one, and then
Wow.
the glasses itself. What's really cool is, and again, got at Aitai Chat was like the rim is like the Buster Blade.
Oh yeah.
So it's like I don't know. I really like it. And I usually use it at work since it's it protects my eyes and everything like that.
Wait, can we see the Buster side again? The Buster part? I didn't.
Oh yeah, for sure.
See, I only saw like
no
the
worries.
materia holes. Oh yeah.
So cool.
That's
So
super
so like
cool.
no one really would notice that. It just looks it looks just really nice. So it kind of looks like Ignis glasses actually, which is funny. But yeah. And then they came with like a nice little card. So like it actually has like a card that shows Cloud and everything like that in here.
Oh,
so
cool.
yeah, no, I actually love this. This is my favorite, most used item that I ever got at Aitai Chat besides this Kingdom Hearts bracelet, but that's Kingdom Hearts, not
Oh, thank you so much. No, but
Yeah.
it's funny because sometimes when the products come into our warehouse, we don't open them, obviously. So we just ship it direct. We open like the box that it comes in, and then we put those products in a box to ship it to our customers. So we don't actually see what's inside. So it's really cool to see what the glasses actually looks like.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
showing off mine.
Oh
As you can see
yeah,
behind me,
yeah. And
I got my boy Cody up behind me here. I got Cloud Stripe. And then I don't know if you can see that
oh
just sparkling.
yeah, a little like coaster, right,
Cloud
right.
Stripe, little my coasters. And of course, Barret, he's coasting too. And then I got this really cool sign. Can you see that?
Oh yeah, that was the concert thing. It was like a little bonus.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is and then here's another coaster, which I always think this is one of my favorite prints
Oh
of
yeah, it's so
Barret,
pretty.
in the church. And you
Right,
got
right.
Marlene right there. It's
Right,
beautiful.
right.
But then this is all stuff that I just got this week, and I'm blown out of the water, not just because it's unbelievably cool stuff, but the packaging for it is so meticulous, and you get it here and nothing's broken ever. And
Oh,
then
that's good.
that's the bomb diggity.
Oh right, that
Yeah.
was another bonus thing. Yeah.
And then bam! Look at that.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm
Barret.
like, man, this just cool stuff. I got a Sephiroth one too. I know. I know Barrett's not supposed to be hanging out with Seth, but I'm just letting you know.
Totally.
I got a Sephiroth one too. John got a Sephiroth one too. So thank you so much.
No problem. So some of those items that you showed, John, they're going to be raffled at the end of this stream. So definitely, guys, stay till the end. So if you want to win those Barret raffle prizes, we'll definitely be doing the giveaway later. But yeah,
maybe I'll raffle mine off and sign them or something. Maybe.
That'd be dope. Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
I'm gonna let you know now.
No, but so speaking of Barret, in FF7 remake, of course, like, John, you're here and everyone knows, knows you because of your obvious talented role that you did for Barret. But we're actually I guess like not just me, but like I'm sure everyone in the chat is very curious about the recording process and what kind of direction you're given when doing voice acting. So I mentioned in the advertisements leading up to Aitai Chat episode 2 that we will be talking about FF7 remake script differences between the English and the Japanese script. So I have prepared a couple of clips. They're Barret related clips. So what I did was I captured audio from my PlayStation 5. No music track though, because yeah, that
I don't know. You hear how she just threw that out there? For those of us who don't have PlayStation 5 yet, she just threw that out there. I'm just hurting. I'm hurting.
I'm sorry. I mean, I just captured it on my PlayStation.
No love. Hey, listen, before we even do that, I gotta say one thing. I gotta say this. The first session of what we just covered with Harada and you talking about marketing, on the real tip, and I know I'm going like off base here, but for those of you who are listening to us and who are in this session right now, if you thought that was outstanding, please respond. It could just be one word. It could be some claps.
I don't talk anymore.
Listen,
Harada's is so interesting. Yeah, it's super interesting.
You don't even understand how valuable that was, because I haven't heard anyone talk about the insight to what we do all in one, in the setting of marketing, in the setting of directing, in the setting, everything that you shared. I have not heard one podcast that made it so interesting, made it fun, and made it, listen, I'm serious. You think I'm joking, and made it informative so that people can say, hey, I can attain that goal. Now I know, now I have clarity. I'm sorry, I got to give you a shout out because you don't understand how that's gold. So anybody who got something out of that, y'all need to respond on. I can't even see what the responses are. But I just please shout out, because that, if I could respond and not be on, I'd be like, that was good, Hercules. I would do everything I possibly could, because I'm curious, because I know that I got a lot out of it. I'm on like a specific side of the coin with that, but Thank you, because it helps me appreciate not just what's happening in the booth, but what's happening to make this whole engine go. So I thank you. I want to thank you for that. I'm sorry, I just had to take a segue because I don't think it's
No, that's
appreciated
awesome.
enough.
No,
Yeah, for
no,
sure.
thank you
And
so much. Thank you so
if
much.
anyone,
Of
yeah,
course.
if
But
anyone does want,
yeah, I mean, like for the marketing side, after after we get those press releases and stuff, then on Aitai we have a whole team where we post on different social media outlets. We kind of engage with the customers, and for me, like personally, I just kind of talk to fans and
That's awesome.
just like create a community, I suppose. What we want to do
That's
is
awesome.
like connect with the people, not just like obviously providing a service that people can use to get items that's exclusive from Japan, but like creating a community where people actually like support what your philosophy is, what you believe in, and like be able to allow people to get these items at a pretty affordable price instead of buying it like 3 times 4 times the price on other places. So
Right.
that's kind of like our goal.
Yeah,
But yeah.
and it's safe. I wish the world could follow that pattern. I'm sorry.
oh, no, it's
I wish
okay. I mean,
various countries could follow that pattern. We would get along so much better in life.
but
I'm just
yeah,
saying.
if anyone does have questions about just anything in terms of games or just like in the industry in general, feel free to reach out. I'm always happy to like help. Like I said, I'm currently mentoring a few college students and also high schoolers right now to help get their dreams, whether it be in games or in animation or such. So I'm more than happy to do that. And at the same time, I know we spoke about the voice acting, but this is maybe alluding to what episode 3 might be. But like we're obviously going to be doing a demo and everything with because back in the day I also worked with voice actors and stuff like that. And we're going to basically give a whole session. So if anyone wants to actually get into voice acting, they'll at least know as well. And also like what game developers or game companies who hire voice actors, what they're kind of essentially looking for. Like, for example, they might have to be in the Screen Actors Guild, stuff like that other people don't usually say at these events and stuff like that. Things that I think young individuals should kind of consider, especially, if they want to break in, like maybe they need to go to school, get into an agency, stuff like that. So
You don't have to be young either. Seriously, it's not just young individuals. It's for anybody that's interested in getting,
as long as the voice fits the character. But yeah, so speaking about voice acting, I was thinking for today's session, for the second part of Aitai Chat, we can go into actual clips that I took. So what I did with these clips that I captured, of course there's no like background music because copyright, but the audio is taken from the Japanese voice actor as well as your lines too, John. So what I did was I also added subtitles that were different than what was actually said. It's not every line, of course, but there are some lines. It's you'll see my subtitle is added in a like a Mako color. So I will be asking you kind of like, so this is what it was in Japanese, and like how was the recording process like? So yeah, let's jump right into that. Let me just make sure stuff is okay, ready to go. I just need to add one thing. Give me a second. I just noticed it was funny actually when Harada was talking, my camera exploded. And then I was like, no, and I was like, oh god, what am I gonna do? But now we're okay. Sorry, let me just sorry chat, you guys have to look at me doing this crop.
Good. It's for the people.
Yeah, but let me just fix this and then we can start with this next section. There we go.
You get to see what Audrey looks like at work. That's all, everybody.
Oh. No, yeah, my camera exploded and I was like, oh dear. And I was like, just keep cool. While I like while Harada is like fixing stuff. But all right, cool. So this is what I have planned or like prepared. Let me just make sure that you guys in the chat, let me know if you guys can hear the audio. So we'll listen to the first clip. The first clip I have is Barret and Cloud and Jesse in chapter 1 where they're going down the elevator. I think it's a very iconic scene, and it's very funny too. So let's hear what the Japanese side of it is, and also what the English side is going to be. So we're gonna so John, you're gonna listen to yourself.
It's Alex Main's favorite scene, I think.
Oh, really? So I know John and Harada, you can't actually see the scene unless you open Twitch. But I can, after we play it, I'll tell you what exactly is the difference in the script. All right, cool. So chat, let me know if the audio works. Let's go.
てめえが飯食ってる時眠りこけてる時もこのバカでかいポンプが魔法をガンガン吸い上げるわけだ。休みなく容赦なくよ。お前魔法の正体を知ってるが、魔法はこの星の血だ。俺たちの体を流れる真っ赤な血と同じ。ってことはこのまま吸い続けたらどうなるよ。
Oh, audio needs to be turned up a bit. Okay, sorry. Let me just fix that. There's a little issue with the audio. Let me I think maybe for this, yeah, if you guys, Harada and John, if you want to open the Twitch so you can actually hear the and see the video, that might be better.
What do I click? The chat session?
No, you just you type in like your Safari or whatever browser you have, you type in twitch.tv at Aitai Kimochi, and then you can also see the video. Let me just try
put that in
to
chat. Yeah, y'all too technology.
Here, I can, I'll send it in the chat for you.
Okay,
You know
yes,
what,
yes,
John?
please. Okay, I'll make it a little louder. Let's try that again, guys.
It's in general chat, John.
Or
I can also
Okay, this should be better now. Okay, cool. All right, now you should be able to see that.
Looking for chat.
Oh, John.
I'm like, what happened to my chat?
Oh, is it echoed? Okay, so let me just do that again. Okay. So I'll play the video, and then we can hopefully you guys can watch it, John and Harada, and then I will
Chris, why can't I find my chat now? The chat box.
I'm not exactly sure. Did you click general or now we're troubleshooting in real time?
Oh, it's okay.
Oh,
It's fine.
I got it. No, I'm good. I got it.
You got it? Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Cool, cool. All right, so let's try that again. Sorry, guys. So I'm gonna start playing it again.
Okay.
てめえが飯食ってる時眠りこけてる時もこのバカでかいポンプが魔法をガンガン吸い上げるわけだ。休みなく容赦なくよ。お前魔法の正体を知ってるが、魔法はこの星の血だ。俺たちの体を流れる真っ赤な血と同じ。ってことはこのまま吸い続けたらどうなるよ。星の悲鳴が聞こえねえか、クラウドさんよ。
あんたには聞こえるのか。
おおよ。
医者に行け。
あ？てめえ。
All right, so that's the Japanese version. So now let's listen to the English version, and then we can go back and hear from John about the different types of cues that you got for it.
This pump's sole purpose is to drain the planet dry. While you sleep, while you eat, while you shit, it's here sucking up Mako. It doesn't rest and it doesn't care. You do realize what Mako is, don't you? Mako is the lifeblood of our world. The planet bleeds green like you and me bleed red. The hell you think's gonna happen when it's all gone, huh? Answer me! You gonna stand there and pretend you can't hear the planet crying out in pain? I know you can!
You really hear that?
Damn straight I do!
Get help.
Huh? Say that again!
All right, congrats! Such a nice performance, John. But yeah, were you guys able to hear it? Oh.
Yeah, I was able to hear it a little bit.
Okay, cool, cool.
Yeah, I saw the whole thing.
Okay,
Yeah,
awesome,
I saw the
awesome.
whole thing.
So yeah, I just noticed that the green is a little hard to see, but so I just kind of wanted to go into the kind of recording process and how the script is a little different, and like how they made it in the localization, how they made it more natural to sound, as opposed to like having a like literal translation that feels kind of stilted. So one of the first parts that I noticed was like, it says that this pump's sole purpose is to drain the planet dry, but technically, because like Barret says like while you eat and while you shit or whatever. But in the Japanese, they don't say that. They don't say like while you eat, while you shit. So I was kind of curious like what the cue was for that.
Well, you once again, you always have to look at what the mocap actor is doing, and it's big. It's a big movement, but the mocap actor also used a big voice, used a lot of expressions to, and I'm sure that's probably what he did, when he did his mocap performance, and he captured not just the mocap, motion capture for everybody who's wondering what I'm saying, but he also captured the words, the audio. So that was what was all captured. So basically, when I got it, I got to see it. I heard the Japanese version. I had the translation in English, but I got to see what he was doing. So I had to then take the words and make them work with the action. And then for me, not have him be so crazy big. It's a video game, yes, but like I said, for Barrett's character, my choice was to not have him be so stereotypical or a caricature of what someone thought a black man should be like. So I was very cautious in how I did it. And in doing that, I had to take all those things into consideration and try to take a finished product physically and put the words to it. So the difference that you saw, I mean, if we were having a scene and then they show the characters who were listening, which is where you see Cloud and what was it, Jesse?
Jesse,
in that
yeah.
one? And they're looking and responding to this. Here he goes again, doing another monologue. Well, within those things, if I'm here all the time, it's just an angry black man yelling, in my opinion, or an angry person yelling
just
and
angry,
ranting.
yeah.
And that's not funny to me. What's funny is someone who is always speaking, and if he is speaking, he is. It's not like he likes to hear himself. He's like, I got to explain myself again. This is what it means, but it's not always up here. He's a normal person.
Yeah.
Normal people talk like what we're talking about right now. Even if I'm trying to get a point across, I might be like, look, Audrey's hair is beautifully great. Y'all don't understand why. See what I'm saying? So it has to live somewhere. And so when I get the translation, I have to take the translation. It sounds to me like, especially after watching it, the English version has more words.
Yeah, it has more words.
So for me, it's like, how do I make all of that fit with what I see? And how do I make this look natural? Even though it's a video game, an over-the-top video game with an over-the-top great concept, how do I make this work so that the consumer, the player, is like, I get it. And also, where's the humor in it? And the humor is that he's serious until Cloud goes, you really hear that?
Yeah,
because
so like
that's in the back of the consumer's mind and back of the player's mind. They're like, yeah, you really hear that shit? Get help. You know what I mean? So he's saying what people are thinking, but Barret thinks he's saying what everybody wants to hear. So you have to be able to play with all of that and make it work as an ensemble.
Oh, I see.
So that's what was going on in my head. And that was one of the very first things we worked on, aside from when we arrive at the train station and he's like, all right, you better be all you're cracked up to be, let's go, Merc, So that was the first scene. So imagine going from 0 to 60 on day one.
Oh, wow.
Like I said, fortunately, because I played the game growing up, I'm like, oh, I know what this scene is. Now, those words weren't, you just saw Barret
Yeah, yeah,
in an
yeah.
elevator shaft,
Right,
you know.
right, right.
So he's just
He's
shaking
like
in an
this.
elevator
Yeah,
shaft. I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
right. So I'm like, how would he sound? Okay, here's how do I take everything that I've, put together, and how do I make this work with what's already been done, and how do I make it work so it's relatable and not buffoonery, literally. And how I just was very conscious. I was in my head all the time,
Mm.
try to not satisfy or satiate, but to make it work the right way.
Did you have any chance to do like ad libs that they added into the final product?
Oh yeah, sometimes. Like one big ad lib was we're going on an adventure. All that was ad lib. And we did so
Oh,
many. They're like, John, just do something.
yeah.
Just in case the player stops playing and you guys are on the elevator going up to the Shinra, just do
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
So like I'd have no clue how many things that are in the, that didn't make it.
Yeah, yeah,
We did a
yeah.
lot. I did a lot of
Oh,
stuff
that's fascinating
in that
because
aspect.
yeah, because I noticed like the ad libs, well, I don't know if the script, the script that's written, for example, like when you eat and while you shit, I don't know if that's like something that they added in the localization because it feels more like after looking at the motion capture, it feels more like intense to add, like swear words or whatever. But like a lot of times when you guys just have banter in English, it's very different from the banter in Japanese. So I thought that
Right. I
was really
think
interesting.
so they took the banter in Japanese more serious. Is that what
No,
you
the
saw?
banter is just complete like you. I mean, not always different, but it's very like sometimes the topics or the jokes are very different.
Oh yeah,
So
I can see that. I mean, localization, different countries, I get it.
right.
But what I heard a lot because I would always be played the Japanese version, even though I didn't know what they were saying until I said, "Hey, what did he just say?" And I would
Mm-hmm.
always want to know what he said.
Mm.
Um, whenever we got a chance, um, it was so hot, is what the right word, Chris. We would say it was so hot on the mic. It was
Yep.
Mm.
so loud.
Mm.
And even like times when it was like a mellow time, or it was it was just loud, it was screaming. And like I
Mm.
said, people don't talk like that. Even though it's a
Right.
video game, I wanted Final Fantasy to be what I thought Final Fantasy should be for
Right.
everybody and for what I wanted to play as a consumer myself, and as a fan of the game. I wanted to be more, I won't say realistic, but I wanted to be more relatable. And I
Mm.
didn't want it to be a caricature, not just for Barret, but for everyone he was relating to, and the world that was created so beautifully,
Mm-hmm.
audibly as well as visually. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm sure there was a difference. There's some jokes that are in different countries that people would get that no one in our country would get, and vice versa. So I just wanted to
Mm.
make sure that they landed the right way.
Oh, yeah, that's fascinating. Cause well, I guess we can go into the next clip, but so I have the staircase clip prepared. So what I noticed going off of what you said, John, that like the voice acting for the Japanese side really is like very very. I mean, it's great acting, but it's just very loud. Like it's more like comedic than it should be, I think. But we can definitely see it in this staircase clip right now. So I will fast forward a little bit, and we can watch
Oh, I
it
messed up.
in
I messed up and
Japanese.
I messed up. Moderator, you said where do I go again? I just lost
Oh,
the
you
whole
want to see
thing.
it? If you just open like any browser and type in twitch.tv slash Aitai Kimochi, you can see when we play it live.
I know, but whatever Chris just sent me, it was like perfect, and I just lost it.
Oh
Oh,
no.
if you just go into the general chat, or also I DM'd it to you if you wanted to open up your.
Yeah, that's what I opened up. General Aitai Chat. There it is. Oh no, that's not it.
It is in the general. It should be in general. If you go in general and you just click it, it's the last one. Don't worry, we're troubleshooting live. We'll do it live.
Troubleshooting.
Live. We're live.
It's okay. It's
Live.
fast. Oh, whoop! John just disappeared.
Everyone's seen. It's all good. Everyone's
Wait, where did he
getting.
go? Where did he go? Oops.
He's in the moderators. He's in the moderator. Hold on. Hopefully he
Oh, how
clicks
did he
that.
get there?
Hold on. Let me. Yeah. I don't know.
Sorry,
I'll be
guys.
right
Sorry,
back.
chat.
Let me hop in.
There's a little
Let me just get in.
troubleshooting
Okay.
here. Technical difficulties. Oops. Oh, are we all going into the moderators now? Okay. Give me a second. Let me just fix this.
Go back to general.
Yep, I'm there.
Yep. No, you're not in general yet.
Oh.
Go into the general. Like click in general, voice channels, channels, and then click it.
Channels? Oh, voice channels.
Yeah, we gotta go back.
Never mind. Maybe Audrey might be fixing it. Audrey, are you gonna fix it and put the videos on?
Hold on. It kind of changes the. Actually, John, can you go back into the general Discord? So then we
just
can
click the general from voice
just
channel.
click it. Yeah, it says voice channel and it says general. Just click that, and then I think you'll leave this one.
Go to general.
All right, there we go.
Did I come back?
There you go.
All right, there we go. Now we're back, I think.
Yeah, you're back. Just click the video thing now, John.
I would click the video thing.
Oh, don't worry, John. Don't worry. We got you. We're ride or die for you, John. So.
Take your time. So next to if you look down on the left side, it says video or voice connected, and there should be a button that says video. That's next to a button that says screen. So you click video, click that button, and then your video will turn back on.
Video connected. Video connected.
Yeah. Well, it says so right now. I think it would say voice connected. So look on your the left panel of Discord on the bottom. It will show voice connected, and there's a button that says video, and there's a button that says screen.
Yeah, just click the video part. Yep, there you go.
There we go. Oh, we're back.
John, what you accidentally did was you under voice channels, you accidentally click general. We were talking about text channels. So text channels, click general. Click that, and then you'll see the link.
Alrighty.
Text channels.
Text channels, yes, up above in the left. We'll do it live. So now everyone knows we're using Discord. So there you go. Now everyone knows that we're using Discord.
Oh.
So go to Twitch questions.
Not Twitch questions, but go to general. So above it, so there's moderators and there's general. Just click general, and then you'll see the link to see the video and everything.
Sorry, guys. Thanks for the patience.
And I'm just gonna listen. I'm just gonna.
Okay, just gonna no.
Okay, no worries. Sorry.
Now I don't see Audrey.
I should be there.
I see Audrey.
Something's spinning.
Oh, it's spinning. Oh, you might be loading for him. Might be lag, but I see you, Audrey.
Okay, cool.
All
right, so as long as you can see Audrey, is good. Audrey, can you just play it louder where we can hear it, or no? Just go
I will have to. Yeah, it will just go.
Don't worry about it.
But
I know what I did.
Okay.
Don't worry. Hey, at the very least, this is giving good content for everyone on Twitch. They love these sort of things. So.
Yeah, a little technical difficulties.
John does not know what he's doing.
It's all right.
It's all good. Okay. So I'll play the next one.
Someone, my friend Darren just wrote. Now this is content.
It's like let's teach John how to use Discord.
He said, "Bless your heart, sir. Bless your heart, old man."
I love this.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
That's funny.
Okay.
All right,
so let's go back. Okay, let's go.
My poor dog is now wondering if I'm okay. Yeah.
マジかよ。
ああ、正面突破よりは人目につかない。
そりゃそうかもしんねえけどよ。よし、だったら行こうぜ。
元気だね。
休んじまったら一歩も進めねえ気がしてよ。はいじゃ。はいや。What are we waiting for? Let's roll.
You really are doing better.
We gotta keep moving. To keep moving. Okay.
So before we go to the next scene in the staircase, so the scene that I played was the voice actor in Japanese, and also John. You guys are like saying like, oh, we got to keep moving, and then like the sound effects is like you guys running like like that. So one thing that I've noticed in the Japanese one is like the voice actor is like quite like over the top like acting, kind of like in a comedic way. And I was just curious for this staircase scene. Obviously it's a funny scene, but like were you also kind of keeping that in mind, like, oh, I don't want to make Barret too of a caricature instead, and just make him more of a character?
Through. But to me, realism is more fun, and it's funnier than someone being over the top, unless it's sketch comedy or physical humor or an ensemble where one person is doing the movement. I've grown up and taught the concept of voice, body, face. What does an actor have to present, whether it be on camera, usually on camera or on stage, and you have voice, body, and face. What is your voice doing? What is your body doing? And what is your face doing? So those are the tools. I studied Lucille Ball. I studied Charlie Chaplin. I studied so many different people. Richard Pryor. I used to teach a class in college where I would teach voice, body, and face. Those are your tools. That's what you have. So if I'm over the top in a situation it requires for it to be, it can be funny. If I'm in a situation that is supposed to be real and it's physical humor, then the opposite of playing the scene as opposed to allowing the scene to be funny in real life, that's what makes it funny. So to me, if you're running up a pair of stairs, and we see that you're running physically, if you put yourself in that situation, you're running up a pair of stairs, regardless of what kind of shape you're in, especially for Shinra's Tower, it's a lot of stairs, if you choose to take the stairs, by the way. The funny falls in, what is he feeling? What is he thinking? How is he talking? If I'm, if I'm doing that the whole time, that's not funny. They can physically see that I'm running upstairs.
Right.
The funny
right.
comes in between the gasps. Not if you're just gasping and gasping and gasping. That's
right,
not funny.
Right.
You know what I mean? To me, what's funny is, okay, he chooses to say something funny because he doesn't want Barret or he doesn't want Cloud to know he's tired, even though he's the leader. So you have to go through a whole different mindset of why he's saying what he's saying and when he's saying what he's saying. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So part of what an actor is supposed to bring to the table is, okay, here's a situation. Act. Okay, well, the situation, I say, okay, Harada, you are in a room and you're doing a podcast. Audrey, you are in a room and you're making faces on the camera. And John, you are in a room and you're very seriously trying to run the podcast. But Harada is in the room doing the podcast and he's doing funny. And see what I'm saying? So this, play your character. What's your character? How does it relate to the characters or character in the screen? And what is your character doing in the scene?
Oh, interesting.
So if I'm creating this, I can't just, okay, I'm going to play what I see all the time. I have to think, what would I do in that situation, or what would be funny, or where is the funny? Fortunately, the writing is outstanding. The translators were doubly outstanding. So all I have to do is go, okay, here's the scene. All right, that's what the Japanese voice actor did. Okay, great. I see what he's doing. But why do I have to scream when Cloud is right next to me?
I see. Oh, okay. So there, and in the voice acting, there's some kind of like, contextual cues that you as an actor, it's like, oh, well, I mean, the Japanese guy did that, but like, I'm going to switch it up a little bit. Right.
Beyond that though, Audrey, how can I create a scene for you visually with my voice as if you can't see it?
Create a scene visually. Through voice, but without. Oh, I see.
If I'm using my voice, and like right now, I can't see you speaking to me on this doggone Discord.
Oh, really?
I can't see your picture box. I'm still
weird.
seeing the little pinwheel, right? So how do I how do I create something for you if you can't see me? How do I create it? Well, I have to live in it. Well, how do I live in it? I have to either use sense memory, or I have to go, well, in this situation, this is how I would sound and this is what I would do, right? Despite what I hear someone else having already done. There were times where I wanted to steer so far away from what the Japanese voice actor did so that it would be consistent, because this is talking about a long time of recording this. And so this character would be consistent in every scene that he did, the journey that we took you through, you know, and within the ensemble. You know what I mean? Or there were times when I was like, he's spot on. That's exactly the choice that I would make. Or that I get why he made that choice. I'm going to take a little bit of that and I'm going to tweak it, or I'm going to do the same thing he did. So there is a balance that had to happen for the consistency of the character for me to be one. And I think this is so important. I think this is why a lot of people like Barret. Relatable. Relatable. Yeah, I've gotten so many texts and tweets and everything else about, I just thought Barret was part of the party in the beginning of the game, and so I had to use him to get to the other characters that I want to use, but he was just, you know, he was the comic relief, or he was just a character in the game. Now I have people saying, I want to use Barret the whole time in the game because I want to see what he's going to say. I want to see how he's going to react. I want to see these scenes, the cut scenes. People are watching cut scenes in a video game. For me, that's a huge thing, and that was another thing going into it for me, because my oldest son, he was like, well, I'm gonna skip. Why do I want to see the cutscene? I just want to play. So now you have that's how we played video games, period. So now you have an ensemble of actors who are bringing it, and you're like, no, I want to see this. What are they about to say? Because it's not just fun; it's information for what I need to do to get to the next sector, or you know what I mean. So that's what I wanted to create. I wanted to create something that was interesting and something that was as real as we could get in this Final Fantasy realm of fantasy.
Right. There's one more. So let's look at the other clip for the staircase scene that I pulled out. Is a pretty funny one. It's like the last part where you guys are singing.
Man, y'all better tell me how I can see this doggone thing, because I was flying blind on that.
Okay, John. On the left side, if you just see general moderators Twitch questions, just click the general. Click the general. Don't click general on the voice, but click the general up top. Then you should see the link.
So there is no general on. There's no general. It says text channels, moderators, Twitch questions.
I don't. Okay. It should show under text channels. It should show general. I don't know. Maybe. Might have hit
it. I found it.
Okay, there you go. Thank you, John. Thank you. We're doing it live.
Troubleshooting. It's all good. So I have another question in relation to this staircase scene that I will ask after we watch it. So let's watch it together. So we're gonna watch the Japanese part, and then we're gonna watch the English performance as well.
いつだって厳しいぜ現実ってやつらよ Another day, another struggle Climbing stairs, so much trouble
All right, were you guys able to see it just now?
Yeah, I can see it. Yep, it was playing.
Awesome. So, in regards to like the scene for the stairs part, the song that you guys sing is kind of different. Actually, kind of very different. Like, so in the Japanese, what he actually says is like, it's every day is like a struggle, and like with the reality of what we face right now. It also kind of can. Oops, John just disappeared. Oop. Where did he go? Well then.
We'll find out. We'll find out.
It's okay. He'll pop back. Sorry, guys. Technical difficulties. Oh no. Where did John
it's
go?
All good. We gotta adapt.
Let's see. Is he like still in the
Might
chat?
be, maybe might be power. Hold on. I can text him as well. So-
Okay. Oh, there he is.
Oh, there you go. And we're back.
Funny.
And this is great.
Here, I just don't know what I can.
Okay, John, click the video again under video connected. Exit screen. There we go.
Oh, there we go.
You got it.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, you
Welcome
guys are
back.
getting content today.
That's hilarious. But
I hit the wrong one. I was like, I'm hearing it in echo version.
oh,
I feel
yeah.
like Jim Morrison from The Doors. Riders on the storm.
It kind of gets confusing
All
because
right.
yeah, we have to create different captures for the stream, but it's all good. But anyway,
And I'm not good at it.
it's
Hey,
okay.
Audrey, what did the Japanese actors say in that?
Okay, so he says like いつだ I think he says いつだって厳しい現実のやつら. So it means like every day is like a struggle with like reality of like what we're facing. So like it kind of sounds similar to what you said, which is another day, another struggle. Climbing stairs is so much trouble. But it's a little different,
But he
right?
wasn't singing.
He was singing. He was kind of singing it. Yeah, he was kind of singing it. But like, I was just kind of curious in relation to what you were mentioning just now. That is there any time in the script while translating or localizing that like they based it off of what you did in the booth?
No.
No.
I took everything. I took all my cues from what was already recorded from the Japanese actor. I thought he did a brilliant job. You know, he did what he put it down. He laid the blueprint for me to one, figure out the time that I had to take the words that I had to say, and then two, to say, okay, this is what he's doing during this scene. And then I would say, okay, well, I'm going to take what he did during this scene and I'm going to say it like this. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so, like I said, a lot of times it wasn't just, no, I'm not going to do that. It was like, okay, that was good. I'm going to do that. I'm going to take that. Or I'm going to take that and I'm going to blend it with a little bit of this. You're talking about multiple takes on some of the scenes. And believe it or not, some of the scenes where there were multiple takes from me, because I wanted to get it right, were some of the smallest sentences. You know, because I just wanted to get it right. Or some of the smallest like war cries or yells. I just wanted to get it right. Especially when, you know, you see them escaping one of the sectors and he's holding on to Cloud and remember who it was. I want to say it was Tifa. I think it was Tifa.
Oh, when they're escaping? Yeah,
and
Tifa Cloud.
Yeah.
Yeah. And on the little
So I
like
wanted
zip
to make
line,
sure
right?
that I got that right. Yeah, because he's holding two bodies, you know, on this thing. So it wasn't, you know,
Right.
not that kind of thing.
Right,
You know,
right.
but yes, but no, I took my cue from everything that he did. Everything. And like I said, I think he did a brilliant job with it.
Right,
And then
right.
my translators, you know, John and Ben, they were like, okay, this is what's happening. This is, you know, and they would take it. Now, if anything changed, they would change it and I would adapt it to what they wrote. Because I wanted to get it right. They knew it better than me. I'm not gonna say, no, I ain't saying that. No, this is a team. So I wanted to make sure that the collaboration honored, and I always do this whenever I'm in the booth for pretty much anybody. I want to honor what the writer wrote. When you honor what the writer wrote, then you're not just doing them a favor or justice. You're doing justice to what they created.
Right.
They know that they created it. So why
Right.
would I go against or argue with, you know, unless it was something, you know, racist or asinine, but I haven't really been in a booth with anybody like that, which is beautiful. I can say I've got a beautiful career that way where I haven't had to argue with somebody over ignorance. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, yeah, so like basically then what I assume is that the script is already pretty solid. Like
Oh yeah, it's solid. It's done. It's
by the
written.
time you get it, yeah, I mean by the time you get the translated script, it's already solid, right? So anything that
It's already been approved.
Right.
Everything.
So anything that you might like say that's a little out of the script, do they keep that sometimes, or do they just like be like, oh no, John, we have to stick with this line here?
They let me know either way, but I didn't really I don't think there were, I can't recall any sessions where I was like, no, I wouldn't say that. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't think I ever The only time that I remember going back and changing anything is if uh, I didn't feel as though Barret was articulate enough from
Mm,
my takes.
mm, mm,
Like,
mm.
no, I wanted to hit that stop plosive, or no, I don't want the end of that. I don't want the end of that to be a vowel. I want it to be a stop plosive. Like, I don't want to say don't. I want to say don't. I want him to
Oh,
speak.
oh,
I
right,
didn't,
right. Mm-hmm,
even though I'm a black man playing a black role, like I said, wanted to get away from any stereotypical. This is how I think they sound.
mm-hmm,
And so I wanted to make sure that it was articulate enough to understand. Like I'll always tell people, and I don't think people understand. Someone wrote to me and they said, I don't know any black people that sound like that. He sounds like he's doing a caricature. I'm like, okay, good for you. If that's what you think, you don't know me. But
mm-hmm. Yeah.
my uncle sounds like Barret. My
Mm,
One of my childhood best friends, he is Barret. He talks just like him. He was big like him, barrel chested. Billy Horton.
mm.
I'll say his name right now. William Horton.
Mm-hmm.
He sounded like Barret when we were like 7 years old. He talked like that. So for someone to say, no, that's not, it's like, man, then you don't know black folks. Then you don't know different
Yeah,
voices.
different
Then
types
it's
of
like, let me
people.
do my job and you can comment
Right,
on whatever you want. You know
right,
what I'm
right,
saying?
right.
So I was very there were times where I would change what I said because I didn't like how it sounded when on playback.
Mm,
But for the most part, I wanted to honor the words of the writer. I wanted to honor
mm.
the words of the translator. I wanted to honor the words that were created by the the world of Final Fantasy that was developed.
Right. So for the stairs that we watched, like the another day, another struggle, climbing stairs is so much trouble. Like, how did you come up with that tune, and like, what was the direction like in the recording booth?
Once again, I got to watch, like there were times where I would say, okay, I heard what he said. I know how much time I have to say it.
Mm-hmm.
Can you play it for me without him I don't want to hear the Japanese version.
Mm,
And so I
mm,
would watch his body and I went, oh, okay, he's worn out here. He says he's just trying to, okay, this is what I would say. But as far as I think we probably did that one maybe 4 or 5 times
uh-huh.
because I didn't want to sing it at first. I'm like, I don't think he would sing it. And then I'm like, no, he's got to sing it. He's got to sing it. Because I think by that time we had already done the fanfare. So I'm like,
Uh-huh.
if we're going to give Barret the fanfare, we're going to make sure that Barret gets to sing a little bit.
Oh,
You
I
know, it's
see,
like
I
I'm gonna
see.
get through this time.
How would you have
You know.
acted it
Speaking
if you
of,
didn't sing
there was
it?
a request.
Oh, sorry.
Well, here's another here's another thing that's important. And you know, if anyone knows Barrett's background, where he came from, what his job was, who his best friend was,
Hmm.
if you look at the history of slavery in the United States of America, when slaves got together to build railroads, to plow in fields, to pick cotton, to do all these different things, do you think if you would be able, you had to do menial labor to get through it, would be, I'm going to just be angry and talk the whole time? So you got
Mm.
songs like Sam Cooke's, that's the sound of the men working on the chain, huh, gang. So you have different things that were colloquialized
Mm-hmm.
to get through the damn day. So
Mm.
Barret worked in a mine. He had
Yeah.
to get through the day. And I guarantee you that's where some of that leadership ability came from. How do
Right,
we get
right.
through this? If I keep talking, the day will go by faster. If we sing together, then okay, you harmonize, okay, we're working, okay, we got the rhythm of the hammers you got to understand where it all comes from.
Yeah, that's
So
awesome. That's a huge like
those are choices.
yeah, and that's a very
Yeah,
in-depth
those
way
are
of like
choices.
yeah, making analogies and also kind of figuring out the character and their, motivations and their background and then applying that to your acting. I feel like that's very, very difficult. Yeah,
Well, it's
definitely
work. It's
genius work.
work.
Genius
And
work.
that's why I say people want to wake up and be actors, but they don't want to do the work. So you got to do the work. And it's those little things. That's insight to something that I don't tell anybody, that kind of stuff. Like what goes on in John's head, it's so much that folks wouldn't be able to digest it. And I hope it's appreciated. And, it sounds like it was appreciated. But if you don't put in the work, you'll get the product that you put in.
Right.
And for me, it's like I got so many different things that I want to make sure enrich the character, the script, the project, the world. And so how do I do all of that with my voice? Because I don't have the face to go with it, and I don't have the body to go with it, right? The body's already been recorded. The facial expressions have already pretty much been recorded. So I have to put the voice to what's already been done with all of the research. Hear me? Research. That's the research that's been done to create this character to make him not a caricature or not a stereotype. So why is he the way he is? Well, you can't just make it up. You got to know the history. You got to know who he is. You got to know where he came from. You got to know why Marlene's in the scene. You got to know his best friend. You got to know all these different things. You got to know his relationship with Tifa. You have to do the work. And so it's not just man, he did a really good job doing the voice. Well, damn it, he did a really good job doing the research to make sure that this project was top notch. You know what I mean?
Wow. Yeah, it's then
That's
I guess
your job
as
an actor. If you don't,
as an actor, yeah,
if you don't do that, then you haven't done your work.
Wow. That sounds like
yeah,
no, that's fascinating. I think the audience definitely like wants to hear that kind of stuff because like as a consumer, you're just like, okay, yeah, they did a good job. Sounds good. Or like, oh, I mean, like he could have done this over here, but like I liked his work, But like when you actually look into how an actor or an actress has to, really do the research, do the work side of the voice acting, that's like gives a whole different perspective on like how difficult it is to get in the industry and also get the scene right.
Right.
Yes.
Like, so the perfect example, if I wanted to portray Chris, if I wanted to be Chris Harada, I've got to do all the research I can on every bit of information written that is Chris, right? But if I have the opportunity to be around him and study him and figure out his mannerisms, even more the better, right? But if you don't have that, then how do you do it? You got to do it with whatever's on paper, whatever's on film, whatever. See, you do it with all the research you possibly can with what's given to you. If I wanted to play Audrey, first of all, how am I going to play Audrey? And I'm a 6'4" black man, and Audrey, I don't know how tall you are.
I'm 5'4".
How do I play Audrey? So how do I do that? I have to study my butt off. So what if we said, okay, we're going to do Tu Wong Fu, and I'm like, I want to be Audrey. Well, guess what? I've got to study. You see what I'm saying? It's not that I can't do it if I do the work. You see what I'm saying? Now, whether it's going to be believable or not are two different things.
Right.
So here it is. We have a voiceover video game with a character, and all that other stuff's already been done. Well, how do I apply if I don't do the work?
Wow.
See
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
that's so much like I mean insight that I think it's pretty invaluable that people don't really hear about much from the industry, from a person directly from the industry for voice acting. And I think it's like definitely invaluable info. So thank you, John, for giving us that. Yeah. And
it
so
always helps when a person is of the same ethnic group or the same, if they've gone through that struggle, it always helps if your story can relate to the character story. It always brings more dimension into it.
Right.
Absolutely.
That's fascinating. And I'm going to, I guess, the next scene that I have is from chapter 14, where Marlene talks to Barret. So we have had 2 scenes already where Barret's, kind of like being himself, being very like strong, authority figure, or being kind of funny in the staircase scene. But for when he talks to Marlene, it's a kind of different dynamic, right? It's a relationship between father and daughter. So we'll watch that in the Japanese, and then also watch it in English, and then I'll have a couple questions for you for that, John.
Okay.
Do you have the video open though?
I got it open.
Okay.
Yeah, I got it open this time.
Okay. All right.
And I'm gonna close it when I'm done. I'm gonna close the right one this time.
Okay, yeah, just don't. I mean, it's okay if you close it accidentally. It's fine. Troubleshooting in real time. Yeah, it's gonna be funny. All right, cool.
Everybody's like, please don't close it the right time. Please don't close it.
Oh my gosh.
We are prepared for this.
Okay, all right. So let's listen to it in Japanese and in English.
父ち
マリン。
ゃん行っちゃうの？
すまねえな、マリン。そばにいてやれなくて。父ちゃんだっていつも一緒にいたい。本当だ。でも、それじゃあ戦えない。悪い奴らが星を壊そうとしてる。実はな、父ちゃん、そいつらと戦ってんだ。星やスラムのみんなを守るのが父ちゃんの仕事だ。はっ。
Daddy!
Marlene.
Are you going?
I'm sorry, honey. I wish I didn't have to. I wish I could be with you all the time. I really do. But if I stay here, I can't fight out there. Some bad people are trying to hurt the planet. And Daddy and his friends are trying to stop those bad people. The slums, your friends, the whole planet. It's Daddy's job to protect it.
All right. Such an emotional scene.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love both the Japanese and the English interpretations of it. And John, your role, this scene when I first watched it, it made me cry. It was just so good. Yeah. But yeah, definitely. Oh, we're up good video.
I'm here. I got it down. I can't mess up 3 times.
Oh. Yeah, but yeah, so like the Japanese and the English for this is quite similar. But there's one part you know, like where I guess the English one kind of adds a little bit more of a I guess like a vernacular way of saying things. Is kind of like you say, "I'm sorry, honey, I wish I didn't have to." But in Japanese, he says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I can't stay with you, Marlene." Because in Japanese, they don't really do nicknames very often. We refer to ourselves sometimes even as like I am Audrey. Like Audrey says this, but I'm talking in third person. So like in the Japanese part, he kind of refers to himself in third person as well. Like Barret calls himself Tol-chan, which is like a really cute way of saying dad, like daddy, or like papa. Yeah. So I'm just kind of curious, like for this scene, you know, like what was the voice direction that you received that like, you know, you really like showed the relationship between the father and the daughter very, very well. I mean, I cried. So yeah, I'm sure like everyone in the chat would like to also know like what were your emotions going through the scene, and like how did you interpret it after listening to the Japanese performance and making it into your own.
Well, in the Japanese performance, I don't know if you could see the mouth. The mouth smiled a lot. He smiled a lot.
Let's
So
see,
the
let's
words
see.
were more direct. You
Oh
see the
yeah,
smiling, the
oh
word,
yeah,
and
he's
like
smiling. Yeah,
he
yeah.
smiles a lot.
Right.
So the smile was to deflect to me the staccato of like what you were just saying, how he didn't say honey. Honey made it personal.
Right,
So when
exactly.
I think when the translators wrote, they wanted it to be intimate and they wanted it to be personal. And
Ah,
Barret doesn't call anybody else honey in this whole journey. He doesn't call
right.
anybody honey.
Yeah.
And
Right.
if he does, it's in a very negative way.
Right,
You know
right,
what I mean?
right.
So, but when it's Marlene, everything is a tender moment. Everything is, he's a girl dad. Everything is intimate and real. And honestly, that's the only time you really see him smile that long. And
Mm,
so what was going through my mind is this man's about to go and doesn't know if he's coming back to ever see her.
mm.
And this may be the last time he says that to Marlene, but he can't let Marlene see the severity of it because she's already coming at him like, where are you going? Because his whole pretty much I'm taking care of Marlene, he has to come and go. He has to come and go. So
Mm.
he's had this conversation before, but the difference is that I may not come back this time. And Barret knows I may not come back this time. And he has that long to think about, how do I say this? And how do I paint the picture that if I don't come back, Marlene, know that daddy is going to protect the slums, your friends,
Oh.
where you come from. So, how do I make all that happen without showing her the emotion of, oh my God, I'm about to say goodbye to my daughter. I may never see her again. I can't do this.
Oh.
'Cause
Oh, wow. I
for
didn't even
me,
think about that. Like, because that's why the
yeah,
line he says, like, oh, that's why I'm going to fight all of these people, because he justifies it in case he
he
does
has to.
die. Oh my
He
God. I didn't even
justifies
think
it.
about that.
He
That's,
justifies, dang it, I gotta leave. And I don't want to. That's my baby. I just got back.
oh my gosh. I got goosebumps. I didn't even think that.
Yes.
Like, when I was
Yeah.
watching the scene, I was just like, oh, he's just saying bye. I didn't even think that he would
No.
think that he's gonna, like, not come back.
The realest you see Barret, there's 2 times where you see Barret the realist. And it's whenever he's with Marlene or whenever the name Marlene comes out of his mouth, and when he is in the midst of a mission. That's the realest you see him.
Hmm.
Um, when he's in action and moving, and when he is got anything to do with Marlene, that's when he exposes who he is. And he's a flawed, just like us as human beings. He's a flawed, lead,
Mm.
who's got his own stuff. But in order to justify, honey, I might not come back, but just know this: if daddy doesn't come back, and I got to do this, and I really don't want to go do it,
Mm.
but I'm gonna go do it. So that because if I go do this, she gets to live. If I don't go do this, she may die. So I'd rather die and go and do this so that she can live than not go and know that it's going to be messed up. It's not about, everybody thinks, oh, Barrett's headstrong and it's never been about, oh my gosh, Barret is actually doing this so that other people can live. He
Mm.
says it right there, and the people in the slums, your friends. He's talking about the world. He's trying to save the world with what he has. Whether he
Mm.
dies doing it or not, he knows he's done it for a worthy cause. Not for him. Everybody wants to make Barret selfish, but he's not.
Wow. I mean, like, I didn't think. Of course, I didn't think it. He would be doing it for himself. Obviously, Barrett's like one of the most selfless characters. But I didn't really think that far, where it's like, oh, I'm doing it for the planet because I want Marlene to have a better future. And also I might not come back, so I want to just make sure that she knows that it's for everyone, for her friends, for the slums, for everyone, that even if, like, Barrett dies, that it's for the better cause. That's really deep.
Well, but that's a real scene, right? So
Right.
there's a reason you cried, is
Mm.
because the preparation that was some of it. I just gave you a snippet of what goes on up here. But the reason you were moved emotionally is because it was a real scene. Now, if I would
Mm.
have played it funny or not real or not relatable, it wouldn't have been, you wouldn't have cried. You wouldn't have
Right.
cared. So how do I make you invest into this character and the theme of what the whole storyline is?
Oh,
That's
wow.
that's that's how I work. That's
No,
all.
that's fascinating. So, did you get any, like, direction, like, from the voice director, to be like, oh, I want you to, like, tone it down, or I want you to play up the emotion, or something like that?
I don't I don't my directors, first and foremost, we had 3 different directors.
Mm.
All of them were unbelievably unbelievably fabulous. Just,
Mhm.
man, just some of the things that I wasn't even aware of. They would redirect in such a gentle way if I was headstrong on doing it this way, or if I didn't get it right. They're
Mhm.
like, "Hey, John, I want you to think about this." And then, like, one director I've known for years, and he could say like one word and be like, "Oh, my bad, I get it," because I've just
Nice.
known him for years.
Yeah.
Um, but we had one director, and she was just precious because she she allowed me to she said one time, she said, "Well, my dad told me," I went, "That's gold." When my dad spoke to me when I was a little girl, I remember him saying, and she was, that was gold for me. It's like, oh my
Uh,
gosh, because I have 4 boys. I don't have
right.
girls. So in a lot of the scenes, Marlene was basically the face of one of my 4 boys at any given time. But
I
when
see.
my director told me, when my dad told me, and she's a girl, so he was a girl dad. I'm like,
Uh,
oh yeah, you're right. Let me change this up. So
oh,
you don't see Barrett getting eye level with many people.
right.
He does it for Marlene,
Right,
you
right.
know?
Wow, that's really fascinating. I mean, like I didn't think that there are so many different layers that a voice actor has to go through in order to get into that character and really figure out like not just like acting, but like every scene has a different context, right? So you think about the context and then that translates into your performance. And that's fascinating content. I
Yeah.
did not know that.
Well, the fun part is that sometimes you don't know what scenes you're doing. Most of
Mhm.
the times you don't know what you're coming in to work on. So, like I said, knowing the game, doing the work myself, and studying who Barrett was, where he came from, what he
Mhm.
did, that all helped. Oh, okay, here we are. This is this part. Oh, we're at reactor 1. Okay, this is this part. Oh, okay, we just walked into 7th heaven. Okay, this is this part. You know what I mean?
Oh,
So, like I said, when you do the work, you're prepared, and it's all about, Stanislavski, Uta Hagen, all that studying that I had to do in college, an actor
yeah.
prepares. And,
Oh
it's,
wow.
you apply it to your work, regardless of what genre you're working on, television,
Is
film, voiceover, whatever it is.
is there any like time for when you're recording FF7 remake that you didn't know what scene you're supposed to do and you just go in and you're reading it blind and you're like, "What?"
Probably, I think there were probably 3 times
Mhm.
where I actually knew what we were recording,
Oh, wow. So
uh,
mostly you don't know.
out of all those sessions, yeah. Now,
Wow.
and out of those, well, maybe 5 times, and out of those 5 times, 3 of them were, "Okay, this is where we left off.
Mhm.
So we're
Oh.
gonna finish that scene," you
Oh,
know?
I see.
So,
Wow. So then
yeah, so,
how do you adapt if that's the case?
you study. You gotta know what you're doing. You gotta know what you're coming in to do.
So they don't give you
You're
the
also
script.
talking about a dude Audrey, if I gotta do a
Mhm.
commercial audition, you don't get the copy until you walk in.
Yeah.
You get the
Really?
copy and they go,
You
"Okay,
don't
this
get
is
the
what you're
script?
doing." They tell you who your character is. So
Oh
they'll
my
wear this if you
gosh.
wanna play like, and you don't get a script, you get the copy when you walk into the room and you go, "Okay, this is why I'm wearing this." I mean, you can ask for it,
Right.
Now for television and film, you usually get the copy. Unless you're doing as a great director, a great producer, a great writer in Atlanta, you might not get that script until you show up on the set, and you better be prepared to go. They'll tell you the concept of what your character is and you go. But for most voiceover stuff,
Wow.
you don't get the script until the day of.
Oh my
The
gosh.
most you may see is the audition piece. Like you get an audition and you go, okay, this is what I did for the audition. And you either research you gotta, that's why I tell people, if you want to be an actor and someone says, "Hey, I want you to read this character," and they give you a character description, or they tell you this is the project, this is the show, you better doggone go and research and look up the show so you don't
Wow.
embarrass yourself or never get invited to audition again because you didn't do the work.
Oh.
It's the little things that count. Chris will tell you as a director, the worst thing in
Yeah.
the world, Chris, am I right, is an actor who comes in and doesn't know what the hell is going on and they wing
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're not prepared. It's a
It's
waste of time. Even your dog, look at your dog like, damn right. Look at the dog back there. See?
I'm really having like flashbacks to certain scenes where people were like, oh, we think that this person's gonna be great, and then we tell them the character. I even go out of my way to at least like literally give like a back history, give them a back history at least, because obviously the script and everything is changing or whatever, adapting.
All the
But then
time.
when they go in, they're like, it's more excuses. It's crazy. I always tell people, don't spend 15 minutes explaining what you can't do for 5 minutes worth of work.
Yeah,
Mm.
you wasted everybody's time.
Yeah, do the 5 minutes worth of work instead of spending 15 minutes telling everybody that you can't do it. Because then we're like, oh yeah, don't worry, I'm done talking about that. Yeah.
No. Look, when I first started, my biggest mistake, Audrey, was yeah, I got it.
Oh.
No, you don't. Listen, just listen to what they're trying. They're trying to help you. They're trying to get you the part.
Yeah.
They're trying to give you the job. So what do you have to bring to the table to take the job? Not get the job, take the job.
Yes.
They're trying to give you more information. Listen to all the information they give you, process it, then go.
Wow.
People who go, yeah, I got it. Yeah, okay. Oh, yeah. Don't ever do that in the audition.
Yeah.
Because a wise director will go, you didn't hear a thing I said.
Nope.
Oh, wow.
Exactly. And then I whenever I hear that, I know that I'm gonna have to reiterate it the next
Say it
time.
again. Yeah.
And then the next one, and then you just know. Then eventually, be like, okay, well, maybe not. And there's been moments where literally, because usually when this is more voice acting on behind the scenes, but sometimes there'll be where we cast someone and we're like, okay, they're great or they're going to be good, but then we also always usually use something called like scratch dialogue and stuff, because the
Scratch
animators or the cinematic artists or whatever, they need to be able to create something. There's been seriously multiple times that I've seen and I've experienced firsthand where sometimes we're like, oh wait, the person who's doing the scratch audio, they're actually pretty good and they're more better. Like, do we really need to keep paying this person? And it's literally because this person is just so hard to work with that we'll literally just work internally. And even if it's like we have to have screen actors get or whatever, literally studios will move mountains just to get past and not have to work with the original talent that they intended, because it's just this other person clearly doesn't care.
I've seen people go in and do something. I'm not even gonna say anything. I'm like Chris now. I'm not gonna say any names. I'm not gonna say that I was the one involved. But I've gone in to do scratch, and because of the preparation, the people who were recording and the director are like, and I literally watched someone go, what the, it was because they're like, why aren't we using this cat? It was because, okay, well, I did the research for this particular area that we're in. I know the sound, and this is the accent that they would have. And if we're doing narration, then this, you know what I mean? So I did the work, right? And then they're under obligation because the studio wants to hire a name, right? So the people who heard it or are like, I don't care what happens with this, I'm gonna hire you to the day I die for whatever project I have, because it should have been you, right? I'm not the only person that's like that, and I'm not just bragging on myself or anything like that, but 100%, you may have somebody who is dialing it in because they're a star or because they're getting paid tons of money and they say, yeah, I'll do it. And they half-ass do it, and it may not be a star. It may just be somebody who, whatever it may be, that they got the job, right? And they go in and do it, and there's nothing there. But you've done the scratch track, which once again is a guide for them to do it for, whatever time they have. And so they use that guide, and then they go, nah, they don't pay attention to the guide. I'll do it myself or whatever it may be. And it sucks.
Oh no.
And then in the end result, the project, I'm serious, I'm just calling it what it is. At the end of it, the project is like boo-boo on a stick. And then everybody's like, we lost a lot of money by hiring that person or having that person talk crazy to our directors, the people that are involved or what. We just lost all this. Yeah, but they're hot right now. But at what cost?
Oh, I see.
You see? So it's kind of like, so your job as an actor, like I said, in whatever genre it may be, video, stage, movies, television, film, commercial, spokesperson, whatever it is, your job is to go in there and tear it up and show them why they need to hire you and do such a great job that there is no guessing why this job is why it's good. Why no guessing that is the person that we're supposed to hire. Sir Anthony Hopkins,
Hmm.
unbelievable actor, one of my heroes. He knows the whole script. He doesn't just memorize his lines. He knows the whole script. He knows what the person who's in the scene with him is supposed to say. So that if they say it this way, he can react this way with what he said. If they say it a different way, he can react this. He's gone over the whole thing. He's memorized each scene.
Wow.
That's above and beyond. But we call him Sir Anthony Hopkins for a reason. We call him one of the greatest actors for a reason. It's because of the work.
Right.
I
Wow.
always say this. I was a football player. When we played a game, people would be like, "Oh, great game. Oh, yeah." Those people in the stadium, they saw the end result of hard work throughout the preparation of the week, the film, the plays, the lifting weights, the running, the practices. They don't see all that. They see you on Saturday when you play or whatever day it is. They don't see all the preparation that goes into, "That was a great catch." And you didn't see how many times I dropped it in practice. You see what I'm saying? So
Right.
when
Right.
people can appreciate the work, I'm thrilled. That's why when people say, "Hey man, you did a great job," I'm like, "Our ensemble did a great job. Thank you so much. I'm glad you like the work," because it's work.
Right. Right.
It's the
Right.
job, and I love that work. I love
Yeah.
doing it.
I mean, I think that applies to everything, like when, no matter what the medium is, for example, if it's like my company stuff, like people will be like, "Oh, well, I really like what you did." It's like, not me. And I'm like, yeah, I'm the CEO, but it's not me. It's like a team of 17 people, like I mean, I contribute, yes, but like everyone works together to make a product, right? Or like to make something function. So that's how it should be. Although, of course, like the person who has a face on top of whatever the item is or the product is, then they get the credit. But I think it's important for the person who does have that face on the whatever to be like, actually, no, it's not just me, it's everyone.
I agree. That's being humble. But also, please never, ever, ever forget, because I had to be reminded, and I'm usually reminded by my wife, in a position of leadership, the rest of the people follow the leader.
Hmm.
And if the leader wants things done in an excellent way and can relay that to the folks who work with them, and in your case, you guys are a collab. My son calls it a collab. It's not I'm the boss of you. It's we work together. So
Right.
therefore, if you set the precedence for excellence, then everybody else will want to be excellent.
Mm.
Like I was talking about, I wish I didn't open it up to show the meticulous packing
Mm.
of the products that I received. I was, you know,
That wasn't me. I
it
mean,
was
that was my
taped.
staff.
I
So
know it
yeah,
was your
kudos to
team,
them.
but they went, but beautiful on them to go, "Hey, no, we need to pack this the right way so that it doesn't get damaged." And I know they do several but everybody gets their packages like that. It's
Hmm.
it's packaged so that it won't break. It can't mess up. Even if it bends, it's protected inside. It's excellence. It's attention to detail. And that's what's lacking in so many companies, performances, people, in general, conversations, communication. The attention to detail is no longer there because a lot of folks want to get through on the hair of their chinny chin chin, or what my grandfather used to say, "You can't half-ass everything." You can't.
Right.
If you
Right.
half-ass it, then you're going to live a life of doing it, and nobody wants that.
Right. Right. Right.
So we're talking life here. We're supposed to be talking about Aitai
No, we're
and
talking about
Harada.
FF7 remake. But yeah, thank you so much, John, for that like really interesting insight into the voice acting industry, as well as these clips that I prepared for this episode 2 specifically. But yeah, in episode 3, we'll definitely be going really, really deep into voice acting and actually like doing like kind of, I don't know, demo reels or something. So
Hold on. No, you trying to, okay, look, listen, y'all. She said we. I just want you to catch we.
Yep.
We
Oh.
are going into the booth.
Mhm.
We are going to give you insight on what a director / producer / creator in Harada. I don't say it right. Harada. Audrey says it's so much smoother and better.
Oh, how did
He's going to conduct a session so you guys can see what it's like to go into a session.
Mhm.
And it's not just about me going into the booth. Audrey's going too.
Yep.
And that's the
Yeah.
beauty of it. So we're gonna
So
have auditions, live
Mhm.
auditions, live work. How do you get the job? Once you get the job, what do you do? How are you
Yep.
directed? Do you listen? And guess what? Somebody who ain't even a part of doing voiceover is gonna do it with us.
oh
She
god.
agreed to do it, and I
I
love
did
that she's
agree.
doing it. And she's the
oh
bomb
dear.
diggity for doing it. And you
oh
guys are
no.
gonna be
Especially
you guys are gonna be privy to some serious cool stuff.
Oh no. yeah, like it was actually really funny. So I never had this function called Twitter Voice, which is like this thing that came out I think last year or 2019 or something. I just got it on Twitter. And so all I said was like one line. I said I'm super excited for Final Fantasy 16. And then some people were like, "Oh, you have like this thing in your voice." And I was like, "The hell is that?" So I had to Google. It was like called a fry, voice fry. And I was like, I didn't even know I had that. Oh god. yeah. And then I
Yeah.
was like, wow, when you really isolate a voice without having a face, or without having a video or whatever, like it really changes the way you hear something. And I was like, I
Mhm.
mean, I used to work. I was like when I was in high school, I was a news anchor for my like high school, so I would always be on TV, and I hear myself a lot, so I don't care about what my voice sounds like. But like when
Mm.
you isolate it with no picture, it's weird.
And you've
yeah.
got to create the picture for them. So that's the beauty
Yeah.
of it.
Right.
You
Right.
know, so
Right.
it's gonna be fun. The third session is gonna be just absolute fun. Not that all of our other sessions weren't. It's gonna be just joy. It's gonna be fun.
Yep.
It's gonna be like you guys get to see something you probably would never. It's like being a fly on the wall to go into a session. For those
Right.
of you who've never done it, you get privy to something that's just fun. It's what we
Right.
do, and you get to be a part of it.
Yes, and
Yeah.
ultimately also what I think the biggest, well, one of the largest takeaways also is like people who want to get into voice acting, they'll know in a way what to expect. Because for at least for me, I like to be, at least for work wise, maybe my wife will say not for my personal life, but I like to be very organized. So, I'm very particular. I'll be very friendly, but obviously, there'll be little cues. So I would like to also give advice to like, some people, for example, please don't tell me, oh, sorry if my voice sounds a little raspy. I was out partying last night. If I hear that, then I'm like, why am I paying you?
Next,
Like, well, why?
next.
Yeah, but people have said that. I'm like, okay. And then, but I still, and in fact, that makes me want to go a little bit even harder because I'm just like, no, I need to teach you a lesson now. Like, you shouldn't be partying. So I'm
Got
going
a
to be like, oh,
job.
no, we're actually going to do screaming now. Let's do some screaming sessions and stuff. And that's not to be mean. It's literally just for teaching. Like, you need to take this seriously.
Hey
Like,
man, you mean, dude.
yeah.
Man,
So,
you just Chris mean.
That's
Yeah, I was
awesome.
out smoking and getting high. I'm so sorry. I hope my voice works out today. I just sound beautiful like Billie Holiday. Well, we're gonna scream. You're gonna scream for me today.
Oh my
Chris,
gosh.
cracking the whip. Where's the love, brother?
That's
I'm
so
teasing.
it's
funny.
like, but they're being constructive. I'm like, okay, cool. And then I'll like, because we usually say the counter, I'm like, oh, well, we're adding a little bit more to this because, yeah. So there's things that happen like that. So
Yeah,
That's
we like that
awesome.
raspy voice. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like Rihanna has a song, "Must Be Love on the Brain." I think that's a song, and she's so raw in singing it. And it's like my son told me they didn't use any filters. They just let her sing, and it's one
Ah.
of my favorite songs. And it's just like, oh, it's just real. Billie Holiday was the same way. She just sing whatever emotions. Aretha Franklin is like, don't touch it in the studio. Sam Cooke, just don't touch it. Just that's raw. That's how it is. So
Wow.
yeah, that can be used as that's a technique as well.
Wow. That's awesome. So I guess like again, thank you, John, for that really interesting insight with FF7 remake clips. And yeah, episode 3, we're gonna be really diving into actually just simulating a voice acting booth. But I guess yeah, we did have quite a lot of questions, and we're
yeah,
going to do a giveaway. So I guess Harada, if you would like
Yes.
to,
yeah,
yeah.
for sure. Actually, I wanted to give a shout out. I'm so sorry if I can't pronounce these screen names, but there's Gianuzi gave 25, I believe, gift subs, and then Trui
Oh,
or
Zyru, yeah, Januzi and Zyru. Thank you guys so much.
No, that's
Yeah.
awesome. So just wanted to first give out a shout out to them, and then there was a few. Actually, there was a request. So sorry, John, but not sure if you can right now. But there was a request, especially for fanfare, if they can hear you sing the victory fanfare.
Da, 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 da. You know the rest.
Leave us hanging. Leave us hanging. That's amazing. That's awesome.
And that's part of the shout out for everybody who donated like that. That's cool, man. Thank you.
Yeah,
all
thank you so much. Yeah, thank you guys. Januzi, Zairu, thank you so much for always tuning in. You guys are awesome.
And then
See, Audrey says it's so beautiful. She just makes it sound pretty.
And then
Just
that was
thanking
from
people.
Gigandes. And then there's also like a few comments of like, yeah, John, you'd be such a cool professor in college and such. So
Yeah.
maybe that's an outlet that you want to explore in the future. Maybe
No, please tell my former students. They made us teach classes for my graduate school. So please tell some of my students. I still have very, very good relationships with a lot of my students, but to tell some, I had to give one of my students an F. It was the hardest thing in the world. Yeah, and he was an athlete too, and it was like, dang.
Oh man.
But yeah, tell some of my students that, my former students. They'll be like, he wasn't nice. I couldn't do a scene and he made me cry. No, I never did that. But no, it was fun. It's very fun.
And then there's been other comments, like, for example, Just Say Realm is saying like John should be a main addition to the podcast and everything.
Oh, yeah,
like
yeah.
So I know you're very busy though, John, but we all love you. So
if you only knew the things we had to do to get here. No, I'm teasing. I love Audrey, and I love the company Aitai Chat, and I love Harada. And
I love you.
So
thank you so
one
much,
of
John.
those deals
We love
where
you.
Yes.
I want to do whatever I can to help whomever I can, however I can, whenever I can. And I've fallen in love with what they're about. So, this isn't work. This is fun. This is an act of love.
Thank you. Yeah, no, thank you so much, both Harada and John, for being on Aitai Chat for the past 2 episodes. I hope for everyone who's viewing, tuning in, that we were able to give very interesting and insightful content within the video game industry, within voice acting, and within marketing as well for merchandise in the Japanese side. Definitely hope that people can take away, go away with something, and like that they learned, something new that they learned from it. So that's kind of what our goal is, to make sure that people are able to leave with some sense of enlightenment or some knowledge from the industry. But yeah,
we got questions and stuff.
Yeah, if you guys have any questions,
if you guys have any more questions,
feel free to. I see one
yeah.
question. It says, is it impossible to get a voice acting role without an agent? Getting started, this part makes me nervous.
No, actually,
from G Jitters.
What was the name?
G Jitters.
G. All right, so I'm just gonna say G, because the jitters, But G. When I first started off, I joined Voice 123 online, right? And I would just audition. And someone said, hey, we heard your voice on Voice 123 for one of our jobs, but we want to offer you something else. Can you record this for us? And I'm like, sure. What is it? Will you send me the content? They're like, well, guess what? We're right in Santa Monica. Can you come down and, audition for us live? I'm like, what? Okay, I thought it was just worldwide. It was like, yeah, but we're in California. So yes, there's a way to do it, but you have to kind of, if you look at their website and see the things that you need to have prep with, a demo reel, which is just samples of your voice doing whatever it is that you're strong at doing. And then people hear that, and then you do your auditions, they hear that. I'm not saying it happens for everybody, but that there is a way to do it independently. There is a way to work on this consistently and get better and better and better. And somebody will find you, especially if the work is good. Somebody will find you.
Yeah, one advice to piggyback off that, at least from because obviously John's the talent, and then I'm just the idiot that
No,
You're not an idiot.
But one advice that I would give to a lot of people who always want to at least venture forth and get into voice acting is, and this is just in general, is you have to also go where the work is hiring. In general. And so like maybe you not an agent, but like exactly a perfect way of what John just said though is that yes, someone reached out to him, but they also said we're in Santa Monica, like so he could physically travel there. He didn't have to fly there or anything, so he could actually go to that location. If you like, so if you were, for example, John, if you were, in Detroit or something, or if you were in New York, maybe New York might be easier, but if you were somewhere in the Midwest, it would probably be a bit more challenging to, get there. So I just want to at least preface that to tell.
But Chris, you got to remember, nowadays, especially during COVID,
That's true.
you can do
You can go-
everything right here.
take
Just say, I
advantage
can
of that.
send it to
Exactly
you.
what I was about to say. Yeah. So like,
Mhm.
there's definitely new technology. So you learn how to use that to your advantage.
Mhm.
But networking is definitely key. Don't necessarily need obviously agents, but things like this, like obviously this podcast and stuff like that, and just reaching out. Like I said, even if John's probably super, super busy, but I'm more than happy to at least help connect, in one way, shape, or form. Like poor John sometimes gets texts from me that say, "Hey, I have a friend who just scored something from Mandalorian. Are you busy?" And John's like, "I'm super busy." I'm like, "No worries, John," but I'll manage to find other people to connect them and stuff, because that's ultimately what I love to do. The industry is super small, so the more you help, the more you actually just secure. It just makes sense. So it's good to always help people out, especially
Yeah.
for passion ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Any more
awesome.
questions? I know we gotta have questions.
questions
Did
for-
everybody respond and say clap when said, "Hey man, you gotta appreciate the first half of this"?
There's a few,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, there's so many in the chat that was like the clapping emoji.
Good. I need to
there's
hear
a
that.
profanator question for Death Actors.
The profanator.
That part in video games. How would they go to take parts compared to hearing actors have huge advantage in the industry? What would be the advice for the deaf actors? So basically, how would deaf actors be able to break into the industry?
That's a tough question. I wouldn't know. Profanator. I love the name, first of all. I love that. It must be Barrett's uncle. I think that if you go into the deaf community, because my son does sign, there are so many actors who do their thing, especially spokespersons, who need translators. Like, I think I'm on so many different shows on Netflix. If you turn on the audio, you'll hear me transcribing for the deaf, right? But I think for so many live performances, the deaf need to have an interpreter. So I would go into that. I would look for the best way to go in and interpret. And I don't mean just like when people are doing speeches, like you always see, like when someone is giving an address, there's an interpreter there. I'm talking about for performances. And I personally think, in my opinion, that once theater goes again, someone needs to break that and get an agency together and say, hey, look, we do translations for the deaf to come and enjoy this piece so they can visually see it and see what's being said, because now we have an interpreter. I think interpreters are so needed, and the deaf audience has not been given, honestly, in my opinion, enough justification. And hey, look, we want to come to a live performance too. You know what I'm saying? It's like we want to be able to see and have this interpreted for us. So I think somebody should start an agency and say, look, we're interpreters. We will come in and we will watch the rehearsals. We will come in and we will watch the show, and you will have a whole different audience come in. You think those theater owners, you think those theater companies, you think people like that will not say, hey, that's a whole different, because it's always going to be about business. That's a whole different group of people that we have not reached out to that will help us fund our theater and help us fund, and then I would also look within wherever you are, in the region you are, the town you're in, I would look for those opportunities and say, okay, look, how can I do this work? How can I come in and do this? You know what I mean? I always say, hey man, especially during this age of COVID, start stuff up that hasn't been done because it's needed.
Yep.
Positive
exactly.
stuff, good stuff.
Audrey, there was a question for you.
Oh yeah, no, sorry.
by-
I was transcribing because if the person who asked that question is deaf, then obviously he wants to read it. So I just wrote what you said in the chat.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was going all fast.
No, it's all good. I just wrote it all. I hope I got everything though. So yeah, profanator, if he or she or they, if they can see the thing that I transcribed, that's what Barret, that's what John's answer is.
No, Barret would have said.
Profanator, thank you so much for asking that. I'm with you.
Yep.
I'm with you, man. I just wish there was more. Wish there was more.
Mm.
And then for Audrey, so BP
Mhm.
Chat was asking, Audrey, did you face any obstacles when founding Aitai Kuji? How did you overcome them? If I want to rise to a leadership level as a woman or foreign woman, what obstacles should I expect to face? If one of my superiors is sexist, how could I overcome that obstacle?
Oh yeah. So I did kind of speak about that in the previous Aitai chat episode, where I kind of just talk about like my background. But so obstacles, not so much because I kind of just like was doing my own thing, and I was in a position where it's like, oh, in order to stay in Japan, like I can't work full time anymore, obviously, because I have my own like business going on. So I had to figure out how to get a visa to stay in Japan, and then my lawyers, actually, yeah, my lawyers were like super super amazing, and they helped guide me to how to incorporate into a Japanese business environment. So I incorporated my company, and I got a visa that's called the business investor visa. It's called a business manager investor visa. In order to get that, you have to have like a certain amount of capital that you place into your company. So you have to invest into your company, like a certain. I think right now, I'm not sure if they changed it, but yeah, it's about like $100,000 that you have to invest. This is if you want to make a corporation, not a LLC. If you want to make an LLC, it's different. And I'm not sure exactly the details for that. But for a corporation, you have to have a specific amount of capital. You have to have a designated office space that you write on your application, like this is my office. And then I think you might right now I'm not sure the details, but in the past you had to also hire one full-time Japanese person when you start, or like you have to have it in mind before you start. So though I guess those are kind of like the first obstacles you have to think about when you first start, starting a business in Japan. But if you want to rise to leadership level as a woman within a company, I think for a foreigner, it's quite difficult, unfortunately, with the current environment. Even though like Japanese work culture is changing, I think there still has to be a lot of improvement for women in the workforce, as well as like women in leadership positions. Even like me sometimes, like when, for example, like I'm talking to a Japanese partner of ours and I send them an email, or I call them, they don't talk to me. They will be like, oh, do you, is there someone else like that you would like to relay your message to? And I'm like, I mean, you could just talk to me. Or when we're in like a business meeting with our partners, and let's say I take a full-timer who's male, they would always look at the male person instead of look at me. And I'm like, for me, I don't care. I'm like, that's just what it is in Japan. Like, some companies and some work environments are still very, backwards, and not like not used to having a woman in the leadership position. So I understand that. I respect it. I mean, I don't like necessarily agree with it, but during those things, when it happens, you just have to kind of adapt to it. But I do see like more female women in more women in leadership positions, but it's still kind of like less than what it should be, like less than Western countries for sure. So I guess what I would say that you can expect to face is that some people would just be like, oh, I mean, like, I'll listen to you, but like, you're still a woman, so I don't like, if there's a male in the group, then I'll look at the male instead, which is a really weird, like, I don't know, way of talking to people, but I've had that experience many times. Yeah, especially one time, I think I mentioned it in the previous episode. There was this like a data bank government service guy who had to come and like get our information to put in the Japanese business data bank that's available online. And they asked me like my background or whatever, and then they said the guy was like maybe in his late 30s. He was like, "Wait, sorry, you're at that time I was 27, and he was like, "So you're 27 and you're American citizen and you are female and you own this company?" And I was like, "Yes." And then he's like, "Oh, I don't think I've ever encountered anyone like this before." And I was like, "Are you serious?" Yeah, so I think like in Japan, there still is a lot of room for improvement. But I guess that's where, like people like us and, foreigners, that's where we come in to try to bring that change.
And
Yes.
and I would encourage, who wrote that? Who wrote that
BP
question?
Bat.
BP, yeah, BP Bat.
If you bet, I would encourage you to go in and do your thing and do it better than everybody else. Being a black man, I'm giving you that from being a minority and having to be better than everybody else. Go in and you do it like nobody else does it, regardless of if someone gives you the accolades for it or not. Because I know Audrey was doing her thing so well and went, wait a minute, I can do this somewhere else because this is what and she just started her own company. So dare to be daring.
Yep.
I would
Oh, and
encourage
sorry,
you,
BP
but be
Bat.
wise about it. Like,
There's one more question. She said so I'm assuming it's a female, but if one of my superiors is sexist, how could I overcome that obstacle? Yeah,
yeah, you gotta answer that one, Audrey.
Japanese companies have a lot of are really really rooted in hierarchy, unfortunately.
Mhm.
So seniority as well as like there are some females in the company who are hired just because of looks as well. And it's really messed up, but that's like a lot of, well, not a lot, but there are some companies that have that, especially like the older companies. And I would just say like do your do your best, try to like perform well, and like in the end, like as long as you can perform really well, like there is, you should be able to vouch for yourself. You can show, your superiors like, oh, I did this and this is my results. And Japanese workers really love to see like statistical results. So if you can show them like, I did this, I put in this effort, and look at the sales, or look at how much increase in percentage of like audience or whatever came to our website, or this is the amount of people who like interacted with us, whatever, like as long as you have statistics and numbers to back up your performance, that will show that like, oh, this person is a valuable key player. And I think that's kind of the best thing you can do despite the current climate.
And then when that next company wants to hire you because they recognize your work, holla.
Yeah.
You know, I'm
Yeah,
serious.
it's quite difficult.
No, that's not
I
always the
think.
case. Yeah, it's not always the case, but man, it's it's real.
Yeah.
And I love how you answered it, Audrey. I love that.
Oh,
Hopefully
thank you.
that helps.
No, yeah, I
But
mean,
what
just
if they're
from
not from Japan? It's the same thing.
right.
Regardless of where you are, it's the same thing. Regardless of what state or city or country you're in, it's the same thing. You
Right.
got proof when you got those numbers. You got, you got it in your hand.
Yeah.
Numbers don't lie.
Right.
Stats don't lie.
Yeah, exactly. Stats.
And then another question, Michael Tripp 30s. I think I could answer, but if John, if you want to answer this one first, is in what part of video game development is voice acting done, and how long does it take to do it for a AAA game?
I've been talking too much. That's your question.
Hey, I mean, so that for that question, Michael, that pretty much varies. So pretty like I kind of alluded it to back a few minutes ago. So basically, there is like something like that's called like scratch audio, which it's kind of done almost in house. Sometimes a developer or whoever or producer might just say the audio and the lines. It depends also on the game, but usually this is the purpose for it is to help the animators, because usually if the animators, they don't always do motion capture. Yes, most of them now do motion capture. That's kind of like a standard. But even then with motion capture, they do have still scratch audio or regular audio because they need to act it out. And they don't want to just simply say it sometimes. So they'll have the audio like going on in the background, and then they just simply move around to it and stuff like that. But for the sake of it, as a other way, traditional animation, I guess 3D animation is like keyframe animating. What they'll do is they'll get the audio. If it's scratch audio, then sure. But if not, if it's usually scratch audio. They'll need it though, so that way they can properly act it out. They'll like have the audio, then they'll act to it. So if it says like get over there, they'll be like get over there. They'll film it on their phone or camera or whatever, then implement it into the computer, then move it around, and that's technically how they animate. To answer your question though, for voice acting itself, it depends. It's usually at the very, very end of the game, like game development. Like from all the games that I've been working on, we don't get audio properly implemented till near the end, because you don't know what's going to change or what the script's going to change, because sometimes stories change like literally last minute. I've literally worked on, without naming the game company, but I've worked on episodes of products IPs where literally the story is rewritten after what we call ratings. And ratings, usually you would want the game done. That's like done. It's like 95% done, and the rest 5% is just polish. But then after seeing the ratings or whatever, they're like, you know what? We actually don't like this whole story bit, so we're going to completely redo it. And so, that's costly, especially if you have really expensive actors like on-screen actors celebrities, that eats up a lot of time. So for actual voice acting, that's usually when things are really, really fine-tuned and done. And that's why we'll do it in episode 3, but like we'll already know the character really well. So like a good voice director usually will be like, John, so this person is going through A, B, and C, and then their goals are X, Y, and Z. They kind of say that, and then they say the scenario, but they paint it all right there. I've literally had scenarios where a voice actor will actually make me almost feel like I'm a giant nerd. I'm like, I know, but I'm trying to help you with your job. Because they're like, wow, you're like, what is this, like Dungeons and Dragons? I'm like, no, I'm trying to paint a picture for you so you can execute this character. But usually I'm able to do that because all the other work is already done in the past. So yeah,
I can speak on that too. We voiceover actors, and Harada is right. With his Scratch, sometimes Scratch goes hand in hand with the animators. And I don't know if you're a comic book person, but a comic book is basically like what television, film, and voice acting, especially if it's a movie, for animation. I should say animation. That's what it is. That's called a storyboard. So you'll see pictures. You'll see, think of a comic book. And so the person who's drawing, as they're creating, they have a script, right? You have the script, and they go, well, how do I write that scene? Okay, well, this scene, and they're moving here, and I picture them to do this. Well, if they have a voice to it, it helps the animators tremendously. So now they have a picture to every move that's supposed to be made within that scene. And they have the voice for what that character is doing, or the characters in the ensemble around the
It's like
main character
storyboarding?
or characters. The storyboarding.
Oh, okay.
But usually the voiceover person, the who's ever doing the voiceover, if it's not Scratch, you don't get it usually until the end of the process. And like how did I said, it changes sometimes, and you got to go back in the booth. And depending on that, if it's a celebrity, depending on their schedule, because sometimes they're on location and they can't do it. So now you have to have somebody either do a sound alike. It costs money when you don't have it all together. So that's why a lot of people say, well, let's just run it through Scratch. And then when we hire the people that we actually want to do it, let's do it. And then if they can't do it, then they say, okay, let's go find someone that sounds like them. And they can do in the little parts,
Wow.
It's a process. It's a big process. That's why folks try to wait until it's done, and they take it to get it tested. And if the audience likes it, then they say, okay, or if they don't, and it's a small group. If they don't, they say, hey, let's get back to, let's write it. Do we have the money to do it? And some major studios, they do have the money to do it.
Yeah. And then there's been a lot of money that's just been kind of, I don't want to say
Thrown away.
But
Thrown away.
it was just a good learning experience, especially okay, I can say one story where I'm not going to say the company or the name, but so without getting in trouble, like there was this one game where you would think that it would be for children. It would be E for everyone. It was being developed literally internally, like these developers and everyone, again, you have to know your audience, but they were making it like M-rated, and it had a celebrity actor and everything. And this celebrity actor was cursing and everything like that. In my head, I was like, this is for kids. Like, this is a product that's also for kids. Like, what are we doing here? And guess what? Near the end, they decided to change it and make it rated E for everyone and not M or anything like that. And that's what it was like pretty much doing. So like they literally wasted, because it's not just even one dialogue where because they like there was just jokes, but they were like kind of like edgy jokes. So like every other line, so we couldn't even
Wow.
salvage like certain lines. So like you literally wasted like months of this work, and then you just have to get it back. And what's crazy is that this is not just one actor, like because like you could change the gender for the character.
Mm.
So you know, and it's the main character. So like there's one who has a main voice acting like a celebrity, and then the other one is you know, still a voice actor. So like you have to pay for both of them.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Wow.
so that's
Sessions can get they can get expensive. For a
Oh,
celebrity, they make a lot more.
yep.
Sorry, I accidentally did the raffle just now because I was trying to edit it, but I guess I'll start it right now.
Dude,
Yeah, there's-
Sorry, just the only thing is yeah, like I guess I'll just click start, and then we'll put it at 7 minutes again, like last time. 7 minutes.
yeah, for
Okay.
sure.
Okay, let's start it.
7 minutes, work is 7.
Raffle starting.
Okay.
I'm excited.
Get your raffle ticket. The raffle's starting.
Just
And
now I was
Sparta says
like,
hi, everyone.
I was like, oh crap.
says hi.
All right, there we
Oh, and
go.
Sparta, sorry, my dog.
Oh yeah,
everyone
the
say hi to
dog.
my
Your dog is so cute in the back.
Uh,
Sparta says hi.
But I did see
I
a
wanted
couple.
to give him a voice.
He acts. What's a fun little story about Sparta was that because I worked on a Game of Thrones property, so for HBO, and it was my goal because one of the things reason why I really wanted to work on it is because for the credits they had like a thing for pets and everything like that for the credits. So and it's an HBO property, so I literally put titled it Sparta the Direwolf. So like in one of the Game of Thrones products in the credits it literally says Sparta the Direwolf, so I could say my dog was a direwolf on a Game of Thrones property. So
That's so cool.
that was
so cute.
one of my goals. So
I think
That's
I
awesome.
think I'm on season 7, the last episode. I'm going back. Because I
Oh,
never
Game
saw
of
the
Thrones.
last season.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Everybody's mad at me because I watch it every night. And they're like, Dad, you need to go to sleep. I'm like, this is the only time I can watch anything I want to watch. Love that series.
That's
And it's like I
hilarious.
need it now, right? You know?
Oh my god.
that
Or else I'm gonna watch The
you're for a
Hobbit
trip
again.
later on. So, but yeah.
Is
But
is
yeah,
there
it's-
any other
No,
questions?
I'm at the part with the dragon.
Oh,
Oh yeah, any more
Oh, is
questions?
there any more questions? There's let's see.
Let's
I
answer
guess
as many as we can.
someone is asking, can you choose 2 winners, or since there are 2 prizes?
oh
That's
yeah.
one- that's one
I
question,
Think, I
so-
think I can.
That's a good question,
Yeah?
actually.
I think I can. I just have to pick winner twice or something.
There you go. So
Yeah. Well,
so
we'll
that-
see after
I
the
think
7
that's one
minutes.
question.
After the 7 minutes is up, I'll click pick winner, and then if I can't do it 2 people, then we can just do another like short round where people can enter
Is
again.
one of the prizes something that I have?
Oh, I mean, it's this. Yeah, it's similar to it's the same thing that what you have, but we will ship
But
it from.
it's not the
us.
exact thing that I. Okay,
No,
I
no,
got
no,
you.
that's
All
yours.
right. Okay,
Yeah.
Chris, he's like, no, that's yours. You don't have to give it away.
No, but
I'm
you
like,
can show it. I guess you can show
okay.
it, John. It's the Barret coaster and
Which
the Barret, the one that with Marlene in the church.
Oh, yes.
Oh, the other one I think.
Eric,
Oh, the other one.
that
Oh yeah,
one.
that one. And then a placemat. I think you also received a placemat.
I don't have it with me. I did receive a placement.
Okay, cool.
That's the bomb, but I didn't want to. I did not want to take it out of the plastic.
Oh yeah.
And it's a big version
It's
of
totally
this,
fine.
right?
Yeah,
This
the big
one?
version of that. Yeah. So the placemat and the
I
coaster
didn't
will
want
be
to.
one.
It's so beautiful. It's like one of my that's one of the best pictures I've ever seen done. Because he's
Yeah.
got Marlene on his shoulder in the
Yeah,
church
yeah,
and the
yeah.
flowers. I did not take it. Listen, you're gonna laugh at me, but it's still in the cardboard how it was packed. And
Oh
it's in
yeah.
I'm not letting anybody. It's in my room. It's not in
It's not even
where I
here.
keep my collection. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
it's in my room. It's like right by the bed over here.
Right.
I'm not letting anybody touch it. It's like, no, you don't understand.
Yeah,
It's one of
that
my
was a
favorite pictures.
placemat that they gave at the Final Fantasy VII Remake Cafe. It's very cute little placemat.
I did not know that was a placemat. I was wondering why it was so thick. It wasn't just, you know.
Yeah, it was not just paper,
Okay.
right? Yeah, and then the acrylic stand of Barret. is another item we'll be giving away, and then a can badge. Oh yeah, that one as well, and a can badge. So the can badge and the acrylic stand will be one giveaway, and then the coaster and the placemat is another person's. So let's see if I can choose 2 at a time though. When the timer runs out.
I was gonna say, how much time is left?
3 minutes.
And then there's some
Another
random.
question.
Oh no, I mean no, this is just more dumb. But like some people are just asking, I guess, for my accessories. So to answer some people's questions, yeah, this is a modified Kingdom Hearts. The chain is from Square Enix, but then this is from one of the keychains that I made into a necklace. And then this is a Buster sword that's still like from a Square Enix necklace. This was the Chocobo charm before necklace, and this was the one, but I modified it. So that's to answer those questions. But this I got from Aitai Chat was the Roxas bracelet that actually made our friendship, Audrey.
Oh, yeah,
so
true.
that's when I had a question, and then we
Right.
like started talking.
Right,
So,
right.
yep.
Seal their friendship bracelet. Seal their
It actually is, and when you think about it, yeah, that's actually
Yeah.
this is a friendship
It's
bracelet.
super funny.
Like,
My love.
There's a question from
is
Maxi X
only
that was there any inspiration for the voice of Barret?
but
inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning like the who I took it after, or
Yeah, or I guess like who you try to thought of when you were acting as Barret?
Oh, I had several. So I said it before at the audition. I had like 3 or 4 different ways that I thought Barret would sound, and we all settled on this one. But like I said, Barret is a mixture between one of my uncles, who's no longer with us, bless his heart, and a childhood friend, William Horton, who I'm not joking when I say he literally sounded like Barret when we were kids. He literally sounded like Barret when we were kids. I'll never forget Billy, we called him. He's a big dude, so when he played football, we all got out of the way, or we would tackle his legs. So that's the only way to tackle him. But I'll never forget one day he came. When he was a kid. This is him when he was a kid. Billy, man, why do you have that cut on your head right there? You know, and it was just because he frowned all the damn time. It looked like a big gash. And one of my friends, John Brown, Marshall Fortson, they were like, "Oh yeah, Billy, why you got a cut right here? What happened?" Well, to tell you the truth, when I was a little boy, my mom dropped a knife right there. And he said, so
Oh my
Billy
gosh.
talked like that. So now that Billy's older,
Is that true?
you know, when we went to high school together, and he was like, "Yo, John, you should do acting with us. We do dramatic acting." That's how he talks.
Really?
That's
Wow.
how Billy talks. Now my uncle talks like this. He was a principal, and everything he did it with excellence. He was like, you know, Joe, Crazy
Yeah,
Joe from Lean on Me. So Barret was a mixture between the strictness, the staccato sound that my uncle would give, and then just Billy, that's how Billy talked. Right. So I'm like, how do I put all this together? So we had several different, I had other people that I had in mind too for Barret. And it just sounded like them. And I'm like, okay, well, how do I put John in there so I don't blow my voice out? You know, because there's ebbs and flows, because Barret screams a lot. So how do I put John in? So it's a big mixture between a bit of me, a lot of Billy, and a lot of my uncle.
Wow. That's awesome.
Inspiration.
Oh, the giveaway ended, so let me see if I can pick 2 winners. I guess the first raffle prize will be the set of the acrylic stand and the can badge. So let's see if I
drum
can.
roll?
Okay, let's go. All right, clicking now.
I'm getting tired.
Michael Trips 30 has won
Michael Trips 30, baby.
the acrylic stand and the can badge. So I don't know if I can. Oh, I can pick another. Okay, Michael Trips 30.
ready?
One more.
congrats, Michael.
Michael
Here you
Chips
go.
30, and then
Jet Robin is the other winner.
Jet Robin.
So Jet
All of them
Robin.
got cool names.
I guess, or I mean, Jet Robbins and Michael, if you guys want to write in the chat which one you prefer, just let me know. But I guess what I said was the first one would be the acrylic stand and the can badge. The second one will be the placemats and the coaster. So you could just let me
Congratulations, y'all.
know in
Congrats,
the chat.
everyone.
Yeah, congratulations, you guys.
Congratulations.
Thank you for joining. That was very
Yeah,
fun.
No, thank you. Thank
Awesome.
you.
But yeah, the two winners, please let us know your address so we can send the items to you. Were there any more
Well,
questions, Harada?
congratulations.
Yeah, there was one as like, and I guess maybe that's for, it could be like for all of us, but for, especially for you, John. Are there any video game characters that you find inspiring, John?
That I've done, or no, that's, I can't, it's not like I can ask that question. I wrote this 2 hours ago, man. There, yeah, there. I think any character that fights for something that's noteworthy,
Mhm.
I always find inspirational. I'm a big fan of how a character's lines are delivered, more so than just the character. Because some characters, they just look cool. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, that's a good character. It's inspiring. But inspiring to me, you get the words.
Yep,
You know,
exactly.
the words mean something, especially in this day and age. Words actually mean something. So if they're standing for something that's noteworthy, if they're standing for something that's justifiable in dealing with justice, if they're standing for something that defends the defenseless, if they're standing for something that's spreading joy or love, those are the ones that inspire me. Those are the characters that make me go, ooh. And I don't mean just within one episode. I mean, that's what their character stands for. And, you know, that's something that inspires me. It's like, ooh, that would be a cool character to do. Or, ooh, I really like that. I'm going to follow that series. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
and then, because if it's no longer just about entertainment's sake, I'm good with that. Because there's times where I just want to listen and be entertained. But for as far as inspiration, I'm about trying to have communication with folks and to make sure that there's enough love in this world to get us through this crazy stuff that we have to go through in life. And so that's what I find inspiring for me.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's well said.
Harada, do you have
that's
any
a good
inspiring
question.
characters?
For me, yeah, well, actually, yeah. There. I don't know if you ever played the first season of The Walking Dead from the Telltale series, John. But for me, Lee, that was a character that I absolutely loved, and I was really inspired for because, like, he had like a kind of a shady past, but then he becomes, like a father figure over this character named Clementine and everything. And I won't spoil if you haven't played it, but I mean, that game won many awards, and it's
I have
because
it.
yeah, it's amazing. So Lee is definitely a person, and again, a person of color, but someone that I found truly inspiring. And I guess if we wanted to stick into the Square Enix Final Fantasy route, I would say also like Auron, like from Final Fantasy X, like Auron is another one, like kind of because he kept his promise, and
Their
Seven,
storylines are beautiful like that. Yeah.
yeah. So keeping your promise, anyone who can keep their promise, I kind of like. So yeah,
Right.
that's hard. That's rare sometimes, but yeah.
I was
I
working on Telltale when they stopped.
Oh, you were?
The last one. It's never going to come out.
Well, yeah. I don't know.
I'm just telling you. I was
like,
crushed because I'm like, this is a great man, dude. I was in it and just having a ball doing it, and honestly was doing some. I don't talk about my work like this. Putting it down. We're doing some good stuff.
Yeah.
And we went in one day and they're like, John, this is the last one. I'm like, last one for what? We don't know if it's actually going to get done because the company. I'm like, what?
Oh.
And I wasn't upset because of it was like, this is a good series.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that crushed me when that was done.
Yeah.
Audrey, what about you? Audrey?
Oh,
What about you?
I don't really like find characters super inspiring because I think I guess it depends on, like you said, John, like the speech. Like, for example, I think Barret is very, very inspiring. I don't think I have a favorite, but I guess one of my like characters that I really do like, that I guess is this pretty strong character is Impa from Zelda. Like, she cares. She cares for Zelda a lot, and she oversees everything that Zelda does, right? And like, I guess that's kind of like personality wise, it's kind of like me. Like, I look over people, and I also have my own goal in mind. So Impa is kind of like, yeah, and then like in she's in different Zeldas too, right? She has different similar roles in different Zeldas though. So I guess that's one character that when I was growing up I was like, oh, she's so cool. Yeah.
You just won my wife's heart even more, Audrey.
Yeah,
What?
See? Characters got to inspire.
Sorry.
Oh no, I just said you just won my wife's heart even more, Audrey. Like, cause my wife works at
Oh,
so,
because of
there
Impa.
you go.
Yeah,
You
Impa's
know
freaking
that.
badass. I love Impa.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
wanna
love
see
the
a
Zelda
puppet now.
series.
Yep.
No, but yeah, I love the
Oh.
Zelda series as well. So but yeah, I guess that's probably the entire episode of Aitai Chat episode 2, right?
Yeah.
We went through a
We're just
lot of
hanging out
things today. And thank you guys, thank you Harada, thank you John for doing this chat with us. I hope that you guys also had fun talking about the video game industry and the voice acting industry. And the next episode will be like mainly just voice acting, simulating a voice acting session. And I think that will be really cool for the audience to see what exactly goes on, what kind of crazy instructions goes on, and so forth. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah.
Thank you, Audrey.
No,
Thank
no
you.
problem, no problem. So yeah, I guess feel free guys to follow us on social media. Harada is on Twitter, Harada CH, and John is John Eric Bentley. I'm Aitai Kimochi, and if you guys are interested in buying stuff from Aitai Kuji, feel free to go to our website aitaikuji.com and use the coupon code Aitai Chat 300. If you have a account with us, you can get 300 yen off your order. And thank you everyone for tuning in today. And episode 3, we haven't decided on the schedule yet, but hopefully, I don't know, maybe within May, but really depends on John and Tadada's schedule. So when we do decide on the schedule, we will of course announce it on social media for everyone. So yeah, thank you guys so much again for joining us today.
Thanks to everybody.
Yeah, thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
I'm just waving now.
Okay.